The Wheel of Time show airs, and episodes drop and are viewed, leaving scenes that become legend. Legend fades to season, and even season is long forgotten when the episode that gave it birth comes again. In one episode, called All of Season 1 by some, an episode yet to come, an episode long past, a chatter began amongst the nerds of the internet. The chatter was not the after show. There are no afters or befores to the airing of the Wheel of Time show. But it was an after show.
Hey! Oops, I forgot to turn on my light. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, good.
It's been a while since we've done one of these, so and if you're new to the show, welcome to an after show. This is the officially unofficial after show for the Wheel of Time TV show on Amazon Prime. We're taking a 1 week break from our normally scheduled Sunday live streams Best Gen to go back and talk about Wheel of Time Season 1. And you may be asking, isn't the show over? Yes, but also it's still technically after the show, so we can still do an after show. Yay!
Very nice.
Yeah, today we're talking looking back, Season 1 Wheel of Time retrospective, looking back at the season now that we've had some time for everything to sink in and see if our opinions have changed or if they've only cemented in our minds. So, sorry for the late start today as well. We've had some technical difficulties and some last-minute cancellations, but we're gonna have a great time. Introducing, I mean, you know him, you love him. He, my architect cousin with a phallic fixation, Jared.
Oh no, not this again.
I didn't come up with new pictures this time.
Oh, thank goodness.
And also joining us, the IT boy himself. Who hasn't read any of the books, and he likes to interrupt my introductions. My brother David. Give it up for him. And last but certainly the best, the enigmatic trophy husband himself, me. We might have another panelist join us later on. I haven't heard back from him yet, but yeah. Let's talk about the Wheel of Time, Season 1. First off, how's everybody doing?
Good. Staying busy.
You're mute. Oh! Hold on. I still had you muted from your phone call before the stream.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Hope you didn't say anything funny.
Well, that's all I say is funny things.
Right.
Nobody just ever hears them because I'm always muted, apparently. No, I'm just kidding.
Now you can't repeat how funny they were because it just wouldn't be organic, right?
No, yeah, it doesn't work that way. If I have to repeat it, then it's not funny. But no, I was just saying that I'm doing well. You know, I have school and next week, so not this week, but next week is spring break. So I'm pretty excited about that because it's going to be quite the relief and quite the needed relaxation.
How many you're working on your master's, right?
Yeah.
How many years do you have left?
Just one more. Woo!
After this semester.
After this semester, yes.
2 more semesters?
Yep, 2 more. Assuming I pass all my classes this semester.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to you not being in Arizona anymore, unless you stay there for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason. I don't know what that would be. We'll see.
So, it's been a few months since the Wheel of Time season 1 ended. And I thought it'd be a good time to look back on it. And we also have some surprises for today's stream.
Ooh.
We'll be talking about our feelings on season 1, but we also have access to the original script for episode 1, written by Rafe Judkins himself, which we're going to be taking some peeks at tonight. And at the end of the stream, we're going to play a very fun game called Plan Out the Entire Show, where we have to decide which books should take up which seasons and how many seasons there. It's a fun game. So, without further ado, how do you guys feel about season 1 of the Wheel of Time? Now there's had time to sink in.
Well, my opinions haven't really changed much. I think it has still a lot good going for it. It had some really cool action scenes, and I don't think the show is irredeemable. I think they can still recover from this, but it was just super clunky and didn't fit together well, and I just don't know what they were thinking. They didn't develop their main characters enough. They wanted to. They put all their eggs in the same basket of having the surprise of who was the Dragon Reborn, and it just didn't work out.
Yep.
You didn't have enough character development from Rand, and it's even more upsetting being on the show and talking about some of the things that are a little bit different from the books, and knowing that this is Rand's story. It did not feel like that watching the show. This was Moraine's story.
Yeah.
It followed her entirely. It had some episodes that was basically just her and very little other character interactions. And so it was just kind of disappointing. It fell flat. I think they did a good job with some of the characters. I think Nynaeve was pretty well developed, and of course Moraine was like the main focus of the show, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And then see, I'm blanking on the names because it's been several weeks. Who was the other the girl? Nynaeve and
Egwene.
Egwene, yes, and Egwene was fairly well developed, I think, too. But I think everybody else in the show, it just didn't. Like Perrin was like what was he there for? He wasn't there for anything. He didn't do anything. The awesome big guy,
the Ogier.
The Ogier, yeah. Loyal, yeah.
I forgot to put our ticker. So
Moraine was like, he told him
all of season 1.
For all of season 1, yeah. Moraine told him that they needed him to go on this quest with him, but for what? He didn't do anything either.
Yeah.
And then Rand, again, he didn't do anything until the second to last episode, and then even in the finale, he just kind of fell flat. So it's like, I don't know what they're doing, what their plan was. They did not develop these characters very well. So that's kind of my thought. But again, I don't think a lot of people online are saying that it's terrible and it's irredeemable, and but I don't feel that way. I think they could pull it around in season 2. I know there were several issues with filming with COVID going on. They couldn't schedule the research that they wanted, so they had to cut corners. And then Matt leaving the show, the actor that played him. So I know there was complications. I know, but it still doesn't excuse how poorly this show came together.
Okay, good. Yeah. I feel like from the critiques I've seen online, there's no middle ground. It's either like stark defenders of the show saying everything about it's perfect, or people just hated it and say it's a woke piece of garbage. And I haven't seen anyone in the middle.
Yeah, which is a shame.
Which is where I kind of am. For me, there is a lot to like about the show, but there are a lot of things that frustrated me a lot, and having had time to let it sink in, it's gotten worse in my opinion of the show. Like I haven't gone back to rewatch it, and I assumed that I was going to do that.
Same here.
But every time I think about it, I get upset. But there are a lot of good things. Jared, what do you think?
I'm excited for season 2. Honestly, I think that, to be honest, what makes the whole book series so amazing for a lot of these fans is the whole series, right? So getting into the story with all 14 books, right? So I'm excited to see where they take it for sure. I think that there's still a ton of ways that they could take this, right? There's lots of story to still be told and lots of characters to be introduced, developed. So I'm looking forward to season 2. Mm-hmm. I hope that they definitely do maybe look at some of the comments that have been said about season 1 and I don't know, maybe what it is the problem is that they were trying to play this middle ground where it's kind of what the book was, but it's also not. So they were trying to address people that hadn't read it and people that had read it, and it just created this kind of weird in between area. I don't know. So maybe if they just chose a side and said, "Hey, look, we're going to try and follow the books a lot more in these next seasons,"
right?
Then we can maybe redeem it a little bit more. But they've already introduced so many weird things into the story, though, that I'm like, how are you going to do that? I don't know. Maybe they're just like, whoop, we effed up. All right, let's start over. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. See, but that's the thing. You bring up an interesting comment. That you said that they were trying to play the middle ground by appeasing both the book fans and the non-book fans. What's the harm in just following the books more, because the book readers, the non-book readers, don't know the difference.
Yeah.
If you stick, and I understand that some things need to be changed.
Yeah. The general argument that's used to combat that question, David, I'm not saying I agree with it entirely, is that when it comes to books versus film and TV, right. The audience sizes are drastically different.
Right.
Like a best-selling novel, if you take the people who've read that book and convert it to just say everyone who read the book is a viewer on a TV show, that's one of the worst performing TV shows ever, and it would get canceled. And so generally they say when you make an adaptation, you're making it for people who haven't read the source material as the target demographic. Now, ideally, you make something that will also keep the original fans happy.
Right.
Yeah. But the target demographic is TV watchers, not book readers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and if you think, the people who've read the books are going to tune in anyway, even if they hate or don't hate it, because they're either going to love it or they're going to hate watch it, like us.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and I understand that things need to be changed just for the sake of adapting it to a new medium. Either. Yeah.
I think you can make a very, very faithful adaptation, and normal people will also enjoy it. They'll say, "Hey, this is a good thing that I just saw. Maybe I should pick up the book. And often when it's done right, you get record book sales.
Yeah, and I think honestly too, I'd heard talk that there was like they were trying to bring this sort of surprise aspect to the book readers too, and make it new for them as well, and say, hey, look, like we want to make this interesting for you to watch as well, so we're gonna change it up a little bit.
That's the wrong approach, 100%.
Right, and that's I think, to be honest, that's where
the book readers don't want to be surprised. They want to see their favorite moments on screen. It's like, I read this and now I get to see it.
Yeah.
I agree, and so I think that maybe just trying to kind of appeal to these.
In my opinion, that's an excuse and it's a lie. When they say that, they're just. It's an excuse for like, I didn't want to be faithful to the source material. I hate that argument. Absolutely hate it.
I don't know about that. I think there are legitimate times that they show writers, write twists into the adaptation because they don't want it to be like the book and they want to surprise it. And I understand that to a degree, but you still got to be faithful to the source material. You can change a few things here and there, but.
Right.
You still got to be faithful to the material itself,
Right.
Well, when it's such a good source material to begin with, it's frustrating.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're like, the story is already really good. Just do it right and show us that you can make this story even better.
If you are going to make a change, it needs to be better than the original, right? If you make a change and it's stupid, people will say, why'd you change it? You could have kept the original and you wouldn't have had to do any work.
Right.
But if you put in more effort and make something worse, that's when it's really offensive. Okay, but I want to give this stream some kind of semblance of structure. And I also think it will help us organize our thoughts a lot better. So I want to go through and start with the positives first, and let's talk about what the show did right. Okay? But before we get there, I want to quickly mention this is a little segment called Things We Got Wrong. Because I read all of the comments because I'm vain. And sometimes we do make mistakes. That being said, there are only 2 today, and they're very, very small mistakes. We said on this show that, talking about the ways, we said that the ways were built by the Ogier, and that is wrong. The ways were built by the male Aes Sedai before the breaking as a gift to the Ogier.
Yeah, that's true.
But it quickly became the Ogier's domain. Like they gave them all the keys. So basically, that's a technicality.
Well, and I could see too how that could change the way that we see the ways rather than being. Yeah, okay, I can see that.
The point we were making when we said it is, in the books, there's a reason why they needed Loyal, because he knew how to get through the ways. Right. Yeah. And in the show, they didn't. Moraine used magic to open up the gate instead of Loyal. So why was he there? Right.
Exactly. But she still says in the show, "We need you to come with us."
Exactly. But yeah.
But there's no reason.
Yeah.
He just gets stabbed in the end.
So that was a slight teeny correction.
What the fetch? He got stabbed.
I know.
He didn't just get stabbed. He got stabbed with the dagger from Shatter Logeth.
Oh, man.
Which is like an instant kill. Okay. The other correction that is that oops. Just reordered some stuff. On the show, I said, and I think someone else said it too, that the Emond's Field 5, the kids from Emond's Field were all Tavirin, and in the books that's not true. It's just the 3 boys. Rand, Perrin, and Matt are the only Tavirin from Emond's Field, and the girls aren't. At least it's not explicitly stated. And I can get into this more. I want to get into this more in depth a little bit later on. But with Tavirin, it's not a permanent mantle either. you're only Tavirin for as long as the pattern needs you to be. And once you've fulfilled your purpose, you're no longer Tavirin. So even later on in the books, the other women, it's never explicitly stated you are Tavirin, but I believe that there are parts of the books that they definitely are.
Yeah.
Like there are some key elements in the books where like there is some stuff happening. The patterns, it feels like it's weaving around them instead of through them. But it's never explicitly stated. And at least for the purposes of book 1, we know for a fact that it's just the 3 boys that are Tavirin. The show obviously changed that, but that is a correction. We stand corrected. We can be wrong sometimes, hardly ever. So,
well, like I said, it's been a long time since I've read these books, so I will get a lot of stuff wrong.
I'm rereading them right now. I'm almost done with the Eye. I've got like a few chapters left on the Eye of the World. And my wife is reading them right now, and so I'll like read a summary so I can talk about it with her. But I'm a slower reader, and I need audiobooks to catch up with. She reads the books in 2 days.
She's not finished with the series yet?
No, well, she read the first 3.
Yeah.
2 days, in 3 weeks, she read the first 3 books. But then life got kind of busy, and she's finished number 4. We just haven't uploaded that video yet, and she's already started 5. So she's a fast reader.
She is.
Okay, but let's talk about what did the show do well? What did it do right? My first note is casting. I think that like 98%, 95, 90%, I'm like 100% on board with the casting.
You're 100% on board with 95% of their casting.
I don't think there's a standout to me that was like, ooh, this person is miscast. And for the most part, a lot of them are like, yes, I like this.
I didn't like Perrin all that much. I don't know how much he fits with the books, but and I don't know if that's just because his character wasn't developed, but it just seemed like he was just there along for the ride, and he mumbled all of his lines.
Well,
but I don't know if that's his character. I don't know if he's like the quiet, brooding type in the book or something.
Perrin in the book is the gentle giant.
Okay,
the guy that and I feel like he could have been a little bit larger. That's hard to cast, though. You want to prioritize acting a little bit more than the physique, but he doesn't talk a lot in the books. He's the silent type. Doesn't talk. He's the kind of guy that accidentally hurts people if he's not careful, which is like me. I like Perrin's casting.
Whose casting don't you like? The 5%. That you didn't like.
That's what I said. There's not a specific casting that sticks out and says I don't like this. But I'm sure if I went through and looked at each person, I could find one like, I don't like him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that for the most part, I felt like it was acted pretty well. Like they did a good job with that matching up. I felt like they did a good job at like matching up the cultures and things like that. Sort of the histories. It felt coherent. All the wardrobes I felt were pretty well put together. So I agree. I think well, yeah, true. Most of the time, there were a couple where like, what is that?
Yeah.
but at the same time, too, like, I mean, even thinking about that, like, it is supposed to be like a post-apocalyptic world of a science, like a future of this world, right? And so
it was sci-fi, then there was an apocalypse, and now it's Renaissance.
Yeah, so to see that
after being in Dark Ages and Middle Ages, and
so I could see how you might have some weird fashion come out of that, right? Because they're more sci-fi, and then all of a sudden more kind of a Renaissance. I could see how that could influence it. So, but I agree. I think generally, for the most part, I liked the acting. I wish we could have seen more of Rand's character because you don't see that development like you brought up, David. just because he is like his character is so good, and there's so much with like him and his father, right? Like that we talked about, like that whole thing. Like we could have felt more for him. We could have. I mean, to be honest, I think for me that's kind of what I wish I'd had now. Is that after the series, I wish I could feel more for Rand and like his plight and what he's trying to do. Whereas now I'm just like, oh yeah, wait, he said he wants to basically go find himself, right? He wants to figure out what this means to be the dragon, and that's like it. I'm like, okay.
Jared, that's a good point, but you're skipping ahead. We're talking positives.
I'm sorry. Positives. No, but yeah. So anyway, I think that overall he's a good actor. So I can't wait to see what he has in the next season.
Something we mentioned several times on this show, at least for the first half of season 1, the show was peppered with slight nods to lore.
Yes,
which showed that they were paying attention to it. At least someone on the writing staff had read the books, right? And there were many moments where there were just little teeny nods to like, hey, that's a throwaway line from the books, and throwaway little world building here.
My favorite scene from the world building aspect of the show was when they're all walking and she sings. They're singing the song and she tells them the backstory of the song. That was hands down the best world building in the show.
Right.
And then it just didn't expound on that. Sorry, I'm going into negatives again. But
that speech is pretty much lifted 90% from the books. But that happens in Emmons Field when
really
she's
good.
explaining to them. It makes more sense where it happens in the books. But I like that it eventually does happen in the show. Like she's explaining to them like that they have spirit and not to give up after just being attacked by Trollocs. So its placement in the books makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, but that was really good.
But it is still a good moment, even though it's kind of out of place and doesn't really add anything. But it's a good moment. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a shame they couldn't keep peppering those moments in. You know, they ended the show and just so much of the
second half of the show is
the magic in the show, like nothing makes sense still.
The second half of the show kind of does the opposite and takes out.
Yeah.
Okay. Positives.
Okay. So I think a positive would be like, I think generally I was involved with the story, even though maybe it didn't make sense. Like I definitely did like, this is what I want to say.
Yeah.
It was engaging, but what I want to focus on more is like, it was nice to start to get like some more backstory into some of these connections that these characters are going to have, right? Like for example, the whole connection between Nynaeve and Lan, right? Like in the book, you don't get any of that until later, and you're just like, whoa, what? Like, so
I'm rereading the books. It still comes out of nowhere, but there are a few hints, like very veiled hints. With like she blushes one time when he says something, and there's one time where she was supposed to be paying attention to what Moraine was saying, but she kept looking at Land. She's like, he's just really imposing, and then in like hindsight, it's like, oh, it's because she's becoming attracted to him. But reading it the first time, I didn't pick up on it at all until all of a sudden, one chapter, they're like kissing.
Yeah, neither did I. That was a surprise.
Right?
Yeah,
so I
haven't read the book. Shut up.
I feel like it's those sorts of backstories that you get a little bit more in this series where they try to explain, like they gave Perrin a little bit more backstory to say, hey, like this is what is motivating him in this like why he has a hard time getting close to people, because he feels like he always hurts people, right? And so
I know Brandon Sanderson doesn't like that they gave him a wife in the show and he kills him, but I really like that backstory. But I think I do agree, and I see the issue is that now he just doesn't do anything for the rest of the show because he's conflicted. So that part was not that great, but they could have had him. They had the moment he picked up the axe in the end, but he didn't do anything. They could have had a nice, awesome, redemptive moment for him,
or a moment where he breaks down.
Sure.
And so, like, I
anything
can't
but just stand there with the axe.
He could have tried to pick it up and go at what's his face, and then like start shaking and have PTSD. Like in the rare case where I would have accepted like a flashback of his wife. I don't like flashbacks that are on the nose, but it would have worked in that sense of like I can't pick up the axe again. Then have Pod and Fane just mock him relentlessly, saying, "Oh, you can't do anything." And they tried to do that in the show, and it came off as just him standing there doing nothing.
Yeah, it's true.
But I definitely do like how the show branches out more, and it is a deviation from the books because it's mostly just Rant's perspective. But I like how, at least for the main cast, that it branches out and gives them more solid footing, which definitely happens later on in the books. But I like that we start off from season 1 with knowing the main cast. I think it does go too far, and gives us too much of Moraine.
Yeah.
But,
another thing I liked, I know you guys mentioned that it doesn't really come in book 1 at all. It's more like book 3 and 4 or something. Is I really enjoyed the White Tower politics.
Yeah.
That was really cool, seeing the different Ajas and how they're vying for power in the White Tower. But then again, like you said, they lingered on it too much. There was that whole episode that was, or a whole 2 episodes pretty much, that was all in the White Tower.
3.
And was it 3? I don't remember. There's the one that they got there, and then it ended with the funeral, and then there was the whole backstory scene with the Amerlin and
I think it was 3.
Was it 3?
It feels like it was 3, but
it was 5. It was 5 and 6.
Yeah.
So I liked seeing the different Ajas and stuff in some of the inner White Tower politics, but it was too much. It was more. It was too much of what we didn't need, and we didn't have the development that we did need.
Yeah, exactly. I liked what they did, had it not taken away from developing the main character.
Right.
And the problem with it, which I was hoping to get into later, but since you mentioned it already, getting into the negative.
I'm sorry, it's too hard to bring up the positives when they just they did so well in some parts, and then
the biggest problem, like I liked the politics. The biggest problem is that it had nothing to do with the story,
right?
And it didn't tie into anything with the finale. Which
the Amerlin Seat's backstory could have been saved for season 2. When it
comes up organically in books 2 and 3, it affects the story. But because they wanted to branch out and start the world building early and ignore the main characters, they had this stuff which wasn't bad, but it was forgettable and completely irrelevant, and it had nothing to do with the finale, which is bad writing.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because like that's the thing. I loved seeing the White Tower and like the whole city. Like they show you the city and everything like that, and how the White Tower is literally just a massive structure, right? Like I love those concepts, and I love how they did that. But then at the same time, I'm like, this really doesn't have anything to do with this story right at this moment. This is something that you can bring up later in the next seasons. And it'll be totally fine. That's when it comes up in the books.
It would have been a lot more effective too, because it affects the story in books 2 and 3.
Yeah, but it was gorgeous. So I did enjoy that for sure. And I have to say too, like Moraine's costumes were on point all the time. She was Every single time I was like, that is a freaking dope costume.
The costuming they looked expensive, in the show was, for the most part, really, really well done. Yeah. There was that weird costume in the Tarvalin's Gap City or whatever.
7 or 8.
Yeah. The sister was wearing that weird balloon pants
bulbous thing.
Yeah, that was odd. And then
It was okay
I
because
think
it was kind of like a fringe culture, though, on the edge of the world.
I mean, the top half looked really awesome, and then the bottom is like, what? It was just like it was disconnected. I don't know. That one was a standout, and then I think it was Matt's coat the whole time. It was just like, I don't know. It was just a shambled mess of gross matted fur or something, or I don't know. I didn't like his coat, and my wife kept bringing it up every time. Like, just get that man a better coat. It's gross. Everyone else has nice costumes. Rand has this cool fur lined thing that had sewn together in patches, and Moraine's dress is awesome, and Nynaeve has this cool. Both Nynaeve and Egwene had cool costumes, and Matt was just in this derpy coat. But for the most part, the costuming throughout this whole show was just fantastic. Don't know what word I was trying to say.
Yeah, it was.
It's really good.
Something that I really liked, so much so that it was a change from the books, but I didn't realize at first it was a change from the books because it felt natural, is how they explicitly stated that the girls from Emmons Field were also Tavirin. Because
like the dragon.
No, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. Okay. They did explicitly state that Nynaeve and Egwene were also Tavirin. I thought that was a good change because they further on in the series, and even in this season, they feel like they are Tavirin, so much so that reading the books, I thought they were Tavirin, which is why I said on the show that all 5 of them were Tavirin, even though that's technically wrong. But that leads us to my favorite new segment called Screen Rant Bad Take.
Screen Rants Bad Takes.
Here we go. Maybe you guys know how much I dislike Screen Rant.
I saw this article too.
Okay, it's terrible. Okay,
I didn't click on it because I'm like, I don't know who the other characters in.
You do this? I've started. This is a new segment I've started where because I look up nerdy things on my phone. Google suggests news articles to me all the time, and for some reason it keeps suggesting Screen Rant, and half the times I see a headline from Screen Rant, it is just the worst, and I read the article and it's terrible. In my opinion, Screen Rant has one good thing going for them, and it's Ryan George, the guy who does Pitch Meeting, but they made a big mistake because last week they launched a second channel dedicated exclusively to Pitch Meeting, and I promptly unsubscribed from Screen Rant because that's literally the only reason I'm subscribed is to watch Pitch Meeting, and their listicles are just the worst. Okay, why Wheel of Time Season 2 may introduce a 6th Tavirin. This article is talking in circles the entire time and says nothing. If you want to get to the actual crux of it, it's that they announced casting for a character who will appear in Season 2, who obviously is going to be Tavirin because they made the girls Tavirin. And she is the 6th, big cast of the series.
I see. So because they made the 2 girls Tavirin, this one showing up has to be Tavirin?
Yeah.
It's a hot take.
The article says nothing, though. The only bit of information in this article is, and this is old news, this has been out for 7 months. This was announced before the show started that, what's her name? This woman, this picture is cast as Elaine, but won't show up till Season 2.
Yeah.
This is old news, and this article is utter nonsense.
They still got you to click on the article.
Yeah, several times.
So. Maybe you're the problem.
And that's our first article for Screen Rant's Bad Takes. And you already mentioned this. No, I'll save it for later. Okay.
No, but now you
use that teaser, huh?
I'll save it for later, baby. Do you guys have any other positives from the show?
I think they did the channeling really well. Channeling looks really good.
Yes, I
Also,
was going to mention that.
Logain's character, really well done, I think.
Really well cast. Yeah, I liked him a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, like I'm excited to see where they take Logain because I think that it definitely like introduces this sort of like, oh shoot, the male channeling, like, is this a bad thing? Like, right? So I think they showed and just like the whole thing with like him, but he's trying to be like he's trying to save the world, right? So he's like he is the bad guy, but he's not the bad guy. So I think it's a really good. They did a really good job with that.
This is taking it back a little bit. The casting that I don't like, Min.
Really?
Okay.
Nothing against the actress. I think she's just miscast in the role. It could easily change for me seeing her later on in the series. But Min in the books, she's a tomboy. And in the show, she felt like an exotic seductress. Like I just didn't. When I saw her for the first time, I was like, I don't like this. That was the one casting I did not enjoy.
Okay.
Interesting.
I've heard that for a lot of people actually.
But yeah, I agree with you, Jared. I think the going back to the positives again, I think they visualized the weaving very well. Didn't explain it very well. Hoping they'll get to that, when everyone goes off to get trained.
Yeah.
But the visuals of it were stunning. The battle sequences that they did, especially the opener with Moraine and Land fighting together, that was just chef's kiss. It just anytime they channeled, it looked really good, and the subtle things too, like when they shielded Logain, and linked together to strengthen their bond with them, and then that comes back. It looks different, when they shield and when they do other offensive channelings. And then it comes back when Moraine is shielded, right? It looked like there was lots of discussion about whether she was stilled or not. And, but they did it the same as how Logain was shielded and then he tied it off. It just, I think the attention to detail in there was very, very well done. And the visuals looked stunning.
Yeah.
With all of the channeling.
I agree. I thought the effects of the channeling looked really good, but I also think that this will transition perfectly into where does the show go wrong? Because as good as the channeling special effects were, the
Trolloc boys,
the Trollocs looked okay in episode 1, except for that one shot that I pointed out on this show that looks awful, where the Trolloc gets cut in half by Moraine's weave, and it looks janky as all get out and horrible. And most of the effects are good from there on out, except the
Battle at the Gap.
The finale is just the worst special effects I've ever seen on screen. It was bad. And I get that it was, COVID, but also you guys had a ton of money. You can do effects working from home.
Exactly. CGI
they should have given more. They should have given them more time to perfect the effects.
Exactly. The COVID would affect the reshoots. So there was that weird awkward scene when Nynaeve and Egwene show up. They just kind of like walk from off stage, and then they're there with them. It's like that was obviously a reshoot issue.
Reshoot. We're trying to figure out how to fit pieces together without Matt here.
Exactly. But CGI wise,
it was bad.
You have more time to work on these shots working from home. That shouldn't affect how good it looks. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think generally they were okay until you like so the close-ups were good, but then when you had like a full body Trolloc that was in one of their suits, and you're like, that's a dude in his suit, on stilts. He's on stilts and he's in the suit, and
the practical shots I thought looked much better. They did a lot of work on practical effects, and
Really?
for me, yeah, when it looks practical, I think it looks better. And then it's the scenes where it's clearly overlaid with CGI that is just bad.
Yeah, the couple shots specifically of the army where it has a whole bunch of Trollocs in the back before they break through the wall is just, it's so terrible. It's so flat. There's no depth, and I think they just made everything darker to obscure their bad CGI.
And the fact that their tactic is to like pile on each other like zombies and pull the bricks apart with their bare hands, and one guy had an axe. What?
Yeah,
that's not how fighting works at all.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
Like their entire army should have just been decimated. The Trollocs should have been killed easily.
Right.
You can defend a wall.
They've got the defensive position.
Like, it was dumb.
I agree.
But we've gone into length about how bad the tactics were in the finale. I really disliked it. But having rereading The Eye of the World, it's something we mentioned earlier. Like the changes that they've made in the second half of the season stick out even worse now because I'm reading it in the book and I'm like, yeah, they didn't have to do this and it would have been better. It's extra frustrating when I'm reading the same passage from the book and it's leagues better than what you got, and you're like, you wouldn't have even had to hire a writer. You could have just copy and pasted it. And it would have, like, if you're going to make a change, you better make it better or I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that happened a lot. And that's the thing. It's like, there really are some good things in the book.
Yeah.
And I don't think we saw nearly enough of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another good scene. I really liked when they got to Tarvalin. And they're sitting in the dining hall and they're kind of all discussing their motives. That was when Moraine was finally honest with them and saying that you're going to die, even though she didn't. If you go to the Eye of the World and you're not the dragon, and they're all kind of discussing, their motivations and why they're there. And then the follow up to that, when Rand is doing archery and Nynaeve comes, or not Nynaeve, Egwene comes and they have another follow-up discussion. I thought that was really good, but again, it needed to come sooner in the show because the whole time I was like, why are they all following her? What is their motivation? What is their reasoning for going along with Moraine? And it wasn't until that scene where they kind of discussed what they're doing and why they wanted to go through with it that it was like, oh, finally, that's what I've been wanting this whole time. It was a really good scene, but
in the book, you get that in like the third chapter.
Yeah.
When she convinces them to come with her, she gives them a speech. And it almost all of the things that I hate from the show come back to the one decision of trying to obfuscate who the Dragon Reborn is and saying that it could have been a girl instead of a boy. That caused this problem where you don't know why they're going with her. Because in the book, she explains why. She says, the Trollocs didn't come here to attack Emond's Field. They came here and they attacked 3 houses. They attacked Matt's house, they attacked Perrin's blacksmith house, and they sent a huge group of Trollocs to attack Rand in his country villa, right? They didn't attack any of their buildings, right? The other people who got hurt were just in the way. And so she says, like, look, they are chasing you. If you stay here, they'll kill everyone. If you leave, they will chase us and you will save everyone here.
See, and that was not clear in the show. In the clear,
they couldn't do it in the show because the Dragon Reborn could have been a woman.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they still could have done that and said they attacked her house too, you know, and gone after Nynaeve. But in the show, it was really confusing why they left, and it seemed like they were just saving themselves and leaving the
it's
town
like,
to be ransacked by Trollocs in the
there's-
future.
They see the army in the distance. So what are those?
Yeah.
That's the Trollocs army coming. Okay, well, let's leave all your friends to die.
Exactly. That's exactly how it came across in the show. And I'm like, why are you leaving? Are you? Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. The motivation for joining Moraine is so clear in the books.
Yeah,
it's great. And
it was also awkward how it came together because in the show, because they just got done with this big battle, and one of them, I don't remember if it was Rand or Matt, that said, why did these beasts attack us or whatever? And Moraine just walks up to them, and they're like, one of you three or one of you four or whatever. Five. Well, before it was four because Nynaeve wasn't there. Yeah,
right.
She said one of you four is the Dragon Reborn or something, and you've got to come. It was just not very organic how it came. They just happened to be there, and she just happened to be there to answer her question and said one of you four. It was just very awkward.
in the book they confront her because they think they're there. The Trollocs are there because of her. Because she shows up.
That makes a lot more sense.
They're like, you brought the Trollocs here. What are you doing? She says, no, I'm here for the same reason the Trollocs are, for you.
That makes a lot more sense.
And she also doesn't scare them up front by saying one of you is the Dragon Reborn, because there's a lot of loaded context in the world building that would terrify a youth and make him poop his pants on the spot. That's not something you would say to a kid.
Well, they're not kids in the show.
You can clearly see there's evidence that they want you for something, and she doesn't say what something is because you can't lie. But she says they want you clearly, and then eventually, you learn that it's because one of them is probably the Dragon Reborn. And another thing that the show does wrong is a missed opportunity. And having reread the book, it's even clearer. I said before, like the way the ending is set up in the book one isn't the best. They kind of just head off to the eye of the world at the end, and it's not set up itself. It's not set up as strongly, right? Just structurally and with the pacing, it's not Robert's best work. But having reread it, it's not bad. There is lots of foreshadowing for, there's lots of little hints saying something's going on in the eye of the world. They hear like rumors with the Tinkers of, I heard this story that there was this battle in the Blight, and Aiel came back on her last dying words, rather than saying anything important. The thing that she thought was important before she died is the eye of the world is under attack. The Dark One is there, and it's like there is a lot of setup in the book. It still could be done better. Like there could have been a better reason for why the main characters themselves needed to show up, but there is good setup in the book for getting to the eye of the world at the end of the story. And I said from the beginning that the show has an opportunity here to kind of fix that and make it better and give a better reason structurally to just kind of clean up the end of the book, because Robert Jordan gets much better later on in the series, but having reread it and have it fresh, like it's not bad. It's not as bad as I remember it being. It's just that I liked the other endings to the other books better, and the show could have easily made it more coherent, but they made it worse.
Yeah.
They made it way worse than it is in the book.
Way
Instead
worse.
of taking the opportunity to clean it up, they went the other way. And the reason for going to the eye of the world in the TV show is bad. It's straight up horrible.
Yep.
Well, they're just like, we don't know what's going to happen, but we got to go.
Their plan is, let's go kill the Dark One.
By throwing a bunch of inexperienced
by throwing all of them will die except for one.
Yeah.
Like in the book later on in the series, it's a little spoilery, not too spoilery. Okay, Rand gets that idea because they're trying to figure out how to save the world. Right? They know that Tarman Gaiden is the last battle, and it's foretold that the dragon has to face the Dark One in this last battle, and it's never stated in the prophecies who wins. Okay, but the goal has been the Dark One is locked up in a prison, and the seals of that prison are slowly breaking. So we need to fix the seals and lock him back up. And about like halfway through the books, Rand gets the idea, I'm kind of tired of this. What if the plan is let's kill the Dark One instead of lock him back up again? That seems more practical. And like everyone is saying, like, that's a bad idea. Like how? Like first off, we don't even know if that's possible, right? That you could just kill the Dark One. And so it's a safer bet to lock him up, right? And I'm not going to spoil how it ends, but like that's their plan in the show.
Yeah.
Even though in the books they're like, no.
Everyone says like,
you can't do that.
Like Moraine says, no, don't kill the Dark One. You'll probably die if you try and do that. Just lock him back up. Put him back in jail.
I mean, even if that was their plan, fine. But you've got to train them at least, I get that, he's going to go crazy or whatever if he uses it. But, you've got to train him and...
That argument's irrelevant.
Show him what
the going crazy
is going to happen.
A completely irrelevant argument.
I understand.
Because it happens gradually, right?
Right.
And in the show, they explicitly stated they thought they were going to the Eye of the World for Tarman Gaiden. They said, this is the last battle. You're going to go and kill the Dark One. So
it doesn't matter if he goes
crazy. It takes a long time for him to go crazy. So train him up and go kill the Dark One. And then if he's crazy, then kill him after he wins.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So the whole plan was just to throw the potential Dragon Reborn in front of the Dark One with a magic MacGuffin and hope it all turns out well. It's just nonsensical.
Yeah. And yeah. And like you said before, the choice to focus on all this other stuff, that the final confrontation didn't have the stakes that it could have, because Rand as a character just wasn't developed, right? And I think that,
right.
And I think the show started off well, branching out. I think this is a big negative for the show for me, is just character development in general. I think it focused too much on world building and saying, oh, we got this cool world, and less on story-driven character arcs and character development. It started off in two episodes pretty well of saying, hey, let's show the cast and let's give them a little development, and then none of it paid off. Perrin's arc was terrible. Matt's arc, it was terrible because he had to leave. Egwene didn't have a character arc. Nynaeve kind of had a character arc, but it was just bad. And then Rand's character arc happened in the last episode. The whole arc.
The second to last episode. And then a little bit in the last one.
And it was all Moraine, but even Moraine doesn't have an arc. I mean, her arc is, I can't ever see my lover again. And that was it. It was like a half arc. But that leads us once again to my favorite segment, Screen Rant's Bad Takes, baby!
Screen Rant's Bad Takes.
Here we go. We got another Screen Rant Bad Take. What's this article? The Wheel of Time, best secondary characters. And if you look closely, let's go through. Tam Althor, he's a good character. Bane, Tom Maryland, Logan Ablar, some of these are pretty good. Steppen, he was pretty good. I think Logain is they don't have the best secondary character listed at all. Rand Althor is not on this list.
Right?
And that's been a Screen Rant Bad Take. I've got a third one too, but I'll save you the stinger. Here's the third one. Okay. Wheel of Time. 10 things only book readers know about the series. Okay. I could go through and critique each one of these because they're all. I think there's one that's good. Let's just look at number 1. Okay. Things that you would only understand if you've read the books. Valda was a questioner.
I'm sorry. If you would indulge here a moment longer, we have one of the questioners with us today. He will be thorough, but brief.
Yes. I never would have known that this character was a questioner when all he does is torture and question people.
Right?
And the second scene he's in, they say he's a questioner. This has been Screen Rant Bad Takes.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Shoot.
I hate Screen Rant. So
That's funny.
you guys have anything like any other points of like mistakes that the show made?
I'm excited for season 2. Season 2 can't get here fast enough. Let's redeem it already. Let's get back.
Hold on.
Do you think they
It
will?
can get here fast enough. They need to take their time and smooth things out
And make the special
sure it's
effects better?
done right.
That's true. Okay, all right. all right.
No, I don't want this show coming out in 2 months.
Honestly,
I
I could
wouldn't-
take more crappy Trollocs if the writing is improved.
That's true.
Do you
yeah.
think it will be though? Do you think they will listen to criticisms, or do you think they'll double down?
I don't know.
Have an opinion, and I think that it is a no. I don't think they're going to listen, and I'll explain it in a little bit.
That when we're going to talk about the script.
I
I mean,
have a few points though. Before we get there, there's a few things. A rereading book. I realized some things. The city of Camelin, which we were supposed to get in season 1, right in book 1, is being pushed to season 2.
Yeah.
But we will get Camelin in season 2 because Elaine has been cast. She is the princess, the daughter heir of Camelin.
You mean Elaine? I think you said Egwene, but Elaine.
I said Elaine.
Okay, well, yeah, Elaine.
Camelin was also built by the Ogiers. So are they going to reuse the Shadowloka set?
Third time's a charm, baby.
Are we going to get 3 cities that look identical?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, how do you have a show with such a huge budget and they have to reuse sets and not have enough money for the CGI? It's just...
Oh, yes. And the other thing I thought that the show did very, very poorly was the emasculation of all the male characters was very prominent and intentional.
Yep.
They
didn't have anything cool to do. Same issue with Boba Fett, right?
Even that though, like there were tons of scenes where they just berated the men, like you stupid boy, and you, like this, and just come on. Okay.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, I don't think they're going to listen to criticisms, and I think that the problem lies in the showrunner, Rafe Jenkins, who. Before now, like I gave him plenty of benefit of the doubt, right? I was on board with the show for a really long time.
Yeah.
I still think there is a lot to like, but I think that he's the problem. And I have 2 pieces of evidence to support that theory, which I would like to go over on the show.
What else has he done?
He was on Survivor.
He was on Survivor.
I believe he also wrote for the Avengers, the TV show, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh,
which was not good.
Oh no. So it looks like he did the Uncharted movie that's in theaters
the
now.
new one that came out?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither. I was really excited about it until you just said that.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I don't think it looks like a great movie, but I think Tom Holland is a good actor. So I'll
From
show
what I've
up
seen,
and
the
watch
trailers don't look bad. It's just Tom Holland is horribly cast. He looks nothing like. I like Tom Holland.
Well, I think
I
they're
really
trying to
like
do
him
like
as an actor. He
I think they're
doesn't. He
trying to do
doesn't
an
look
origin
anything
story for the
like Nathan
character.
Drake.
Yeah,
I think that was a terrible decision.
I
I'm not
just
even
think that-
invested in the Uncharted games, but I've seen. I'm like, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't look anything like him.
I agree.
Guy that Mark Wahlberg looks more like
right.
Nathan Drake than he does, and he's his brother. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
He's not his brother. He's someone that knows about his brother.
okay,
I don't know.
I don't know. I've seen pictures of Nathan Drake. Okay,
I know. I think it'll be a fun
Sully.
watch, but
Is what
the
he-
action in the show, from what I've seen in the trailer, just looks over the top and cheesy and ridiculous. And Antonio Banderas'
Well,
character looks.
That's
completely
Uncharted
dumb.
though.
But-
That's pretty what Uncharted is. So
Yeah,
okay,
but anyway,
I'll watch it.
Sidetracked.
okay. Again, right? I could be wrong. I don't want to like spread hate, right, against Rafe Judkins, right? But I don't think that he's handling the show well. And most of all the problems that we've been talking about are they're not exactly like veiled problems, right? These aren't hard to find. They stick out, and they're not hard to solve either. Like for all the things we pointed out, we've also pointed out ways to fix them, which is like a line of dialogue, right?
Right.
But I think it points to a showrunner who cares more about his personal beliefs or his vision than he does about the source material, and I don't think that he cares about being faithful to the source material. Let's go with Exhibit A, shall we? And I didn't know about this until recently, till after the show had already aired. But this is a tweet from before the show aired. So it starts off with this one. Now, this is obviously a horrible thing to happen. He got death threats from people saying, if you mess up the Wheel of Time, we'll kill you, right? Don't do that. Don't be stupid, okay? I might dislike him, but that's horrible. And the fact that they were homophobic to boot, that's not cool, okay? Rafe Judkins is homosexual, okay? I don't care. But his response does not instill a lot of faith, and I think it shows kind of where he's coming from in running the whole show, and it doesn't give me a lot of hope. So like to deal with this, the best way to respond is turn your favorite characters gay, because I can, right? Obviously what the guy did was wrong, but I don't think the solution to dealing with internet trolls and horrible people is to disrespect the source material.
That's a funny tweet, though. I'll give him that.
It's funny, and I get that it's probably a joke, right? But he kind of did that on the show.
Kind of did, yeah.
With this, like, hey, the Dragon Reborn can be a girl, right? And with Moraine and Swan Sanche's characters, they're lesbian in the show, right? In the books, it's hinted at that they had a relationship far in the past, which was kind of more akin to like girls experimenting in college. But they have in the series, they have relationships with men. Both of them do.
Yeah.
And I fully understand that it's a joke, but it feels
It's not
like
a good attitude.
It's not a good attitude, and it feels like it's hinting at truth, right?
Yeah.
And because he did it. He kind of did it in the show. And I don't think that I have nothing against homosexuals. Okay. I have nothing against having gay characters representation on screen. But just doing it for the sake of doing it, or to like, hey, I can do it because I can. And it shows a disregard for the source material, because you can't do that without significantly changing the story. Right.
Right.
The two, Moraine and Swan Sanche, they have relationships, very, very important to the story, which I don't know if they're going to do on the show, and it's definitely going to change how the story works. Right?
If they do, they're going to be longing for each other.
Right. Yeah.
There's going to be tension and drama. But
even just taking a character that might not end up with anyone in the series and just turning him gay, that's still going to affect the story. And I don't think that just taking a character and changing the color of their skin or changing their sexuality, I don't think that inherently makes anything better or worse. But you have to take into account how it would affect the story. I don't know. Okay, that's Exhibit 1. Can we move on? Okay.
Let's move on.
This one's worse. And this might take a while, guys.
Okay. I can't wait.
So this is the original script for Episode 1, Season 1, written by Rafe Judkins himself. Okay. There are some things in this that are good. And I've read through the whole thing more than once. And I've highlighted the good stuff. Okay.
I don't see a lot of highlighting.
The opening scene starts off way better than the opening scene that we get in the show. The opening scene in the show is the Red Aja hunting down a random guy who has no effect on the story and saying, "Hey, we're going to steal you because you're bad," and mail channeling is bad. His starts off with a scene from the prequel book, kind of, where they get a vision of, on the day that Rand is born, of the dragon being reborn. Right? This is the person who saw that vision. And in the books, there's more people present, but in this, it's just her and Moraine. And Moraine sees it happen. And it's kind of cool. It starts off really good. Okay. She sees the child being born on the foot of Dragon Mount. And the talking is good. I actually really liked the scene until it gets here. Okay, so she's like, "Tell me, what do you see?" She's like, "You get a POV of the mother looking at her baby. You specifically cannot see its gender. It squirms, but something feels wrong, right?" And then she's like, "It's the dragon. What I'm looking at. It's not a regular baby. The dragon reborn. The world will be broken. The world will be broken. I can see it. Find the baby, Moraine. Kill it." This is stupid. This is really, really bad and dumb. Is this big enough for you guys? I have a really big screen because I can zoom in.
Yeah, I have it zoomed in.
This is probably better, right? That's too.
Oh yeah,
that's too big for me. Kill the baby. Kill the dragon reborn, the only hope of winning Tarmangaiden?
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
It sounds like he hasn't even read the book.
Yeah. And they have experts. I mean, they have book experts that are helping as well.
This is just Rafe. This is I think this is what he used to like shop the series, or maybe this isn't the first draft though, right? So this was presented to the committee, and writers went through and changed it. A lot of these lines made it through into the episode 1, but a lot of it has changed dialogue wise, and that's a good thing. Yeah, because the rest of this reads like fan fiction. this is bad. But I will admit that this scene is better. I liked that we got a prophecy of the dragon. It would have been cool, except for that stupid line. Because that would literally doom everyone. That would okay. The whole point of this scene in the prequel book is it's her and Swan Sanche and the Amerlin seat. Because Moraine and Swan are both novices. And they're with the Amerlin seat and this woman, Guitarra Moroso, who's blind. Okay, she has a vision and it kills her. And the dragon has been reborn right now. It happened today at the foot of Dragon Mount. Okay, and then Swan, Moraine, and the Amerlin seat have to swear each other to secrecy and say, well, we obviously can't kill it. Like the scene in the book, they say, we have to make sure that this is a secret because no one else knows that the dragon is being reborn. And right now, the Reds are going to find and still and maybe kill any man who channels. Okay? So we have to keep this a secret. We have to find the dragon reborn before the Reds do and not kill it. We have to find him and protect him and keep him safe. This is the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because that's what the Reds are trying to do is to kill them. Like, get all the
not directly. They will still the men, and then the men will kill themselves eventually because that's how it's very rare that someone who's stilled survives. Yeah. It's gentling for women and stilling.
But yeah, I agree, and I think, to be honest, this is definitely much more in line with like the whole prologue that we were talking about, right? Like how it would have been nice to see more of that prologue from the book.
Yeah.
Because it's a great prologue, and it helps you to understand, the importance of the Dragon Reborn.
The prologue is awesome, and if we don't get it in season 2, I will officially have lost like all faith for the show. We should have gotten it. We should have gotten it instead of what they gave us for the finale, which wasn't a bad scene, but it wasn't the prologue, which is great, like fantastic. Everyone loves the prologue, and I even liked. I thought they were going to save it for the last episode, right? For episode 1, it would have been a little jarring, and it was kind of nice that we got to slowly get into Emmons Field, and then see come the finale, hey, this used to be sci-fi. I thought that was a cool reveal.
Yeah, I agree.
But it was jarring.
They didn't give us the prologue. It has to come season 2 or I will be very upset.
I like this.
Okay.
I agree, though, that it was a good reveal that, they used to have, flying crafts and stuff. It was a sci-fi world. But the revelation was jarring, and then they didn't do anything with it. It was just, you don't see any other implications. The only other indication that this show is set in a post-apocalyptic sci-fi world is it shows, as they're first leaving, those skyscraper buildings covered in moss. That's the same shot that you see. Yeah. That's the only thing.
Episode 1 and episode 7.
Right. So, after the reveal that, it was a sci-fi thing, that's when you should, I don't know, show some piece of ancient technology that is, sci-fi futuristic looking or something. I don't know, something to tie it in.
Or if they had more clues throughout the whole season. Like little tiny things like a walkie-talkie that had been like snapped in half and like this is some kind of ancient relic,
Right.
Like if it wasn't just episode 1, if they kept peppering in little teeny things, we're like that feels a little off, and then come the finale, you're like, oh, that's why.
Right. And it could have been in the Shatter Logoth city that they were in. They could have had a whole bunch of broken down technology, bunch of, I don't know, steampunk stuff that's all rusted.
Shadow Logoth was from a different age.
Okay, whatever.
No, that was after the breaking, but yeah, I get your point.
Whatever. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Continue.
No, it's all good. So obviously we can't read this whole script; it would take forever. But I've highlighted some dumb lines. This is during the women's coming of age ceremony for Egwene. Nynaeve has a bunch of lines to her, and one of the lines is, "To be a woman is to be always alone and never alone." And that one stood out to me as a really bad line, especially because they live in a matriarchy where women have all the power. And I was just like, what does this line even mean? It's to be alone, but never to be alone. And they're like in a circle of like women confidants, and you're like I don't.
That's weird.
Yeah, I was trying to think that too. I'm
Okay,
like, what is that?
But then. This is great. She pushes her down the cliff and she finds her downriver. And this is the line. Good. You made it out before the second rapids. Some women don't come back from those. Just illustrates how stupid that whole thing is. Every woman from the Two Rivers.
Yeah,
Gets pushed off of a cliff, and the nonchalance of some people don't come back. Okay, so how does that conversation go when you go and talk to the dad? So we were doing a women's ceremony. We were braiding each other's hair, and there was some color and some paint involved. And then I pushed your daughter off of a cliff into a rapid river, and her body was, splintered upon the rocks. She's not coming back. Sorry.
Speaking of which, call me crazy, but that shot that they have in the trailer of her coming up from
it's not in the show. Yes.
Yeah. I was waiting for that to be in the show. I was like,
yes, it was cut, or it will be in season 2. But yes, it's in this script, right? So it's probably just cut down from episode 1. They might bring it back later. It was a good shot.
Part of her initiation.
That was one of the shots I really liked from the trailer because there's a lot of foreshadowing in it. But anyway, so it's fun. This is when Perrin is talking with his wife. And she's mad that he went to watch Egwene come back from the ceremony. It's like, and it's 100% clear on her face. She thinks her husband is in love with another woman. It's just
so they're hinting a thing again that Perrin's in love with Egwene.
Okay, yeah. But okay, this is where it gets real juicy. Okay, and I gotta give a content warning. Okay, most of what you're about to see now is very pornographic.
Oh.
It sounded cool to them at the time. Yeah, it sounded real dumb to me at this time. But
I think that was in reference to pushing him off the cliff into the river.
Yeah, visually, yeah, it did look really cool. Also, it's stupid. Okay, content warning. Okay, the rest of this, it's very graphic, very pornographic, and it's Mom, turn it off because I'm gonna go into detail.
Oh,
and
no.
I'm doing it for you guys, okay? But sorry, Mom. It's for the greater good. Hey, did you ever wonder how Matt stole that bracelet?
What bracelet?
The one that he sells to Pot on Fane for
at the very beginning.
So they're gambling, and he sees there's a girl. Her name is Danya, apparently. She has a bracelet on, and then he follows her, and then he has the bracelet later that he sells to Bottom Fane so he can get lanterns. And then his friends give him money anyway. Say, hey, go buy some lanterns. Oops, I already stole a bracelet and bought some lanterns with it. Remember that? And he's like, and Bottom Fane's like, I'm not going to give you a lot of money for it because I won't be able to sell it in this town because it was stolen. Remember that conversation? Did you guys ever wonder where he got the bracelet or how he got it? You're about to.
I didn't think it was necessary because it showed the bracelet and then he had it and it was implied that he stole it.
It's not necessary, baby. Okay. Okay. So this comes from.
So Danya is the lady with the bracelet?
Yeah, so it starts raining, right? And this is great, right? The pitter-patter of the rain on the thatched roof of the stables. Horses stomping, neighing, nervous, and then a moan.
Oh, no.
Yes! Okay, the camera moves through the darkness, and we see two silhouettes. against one of the walls. Danya's holding on to one of the ceiling beams with her strong female arms. Her legs wrapped around a man's shoulders. He's shirtless, head hidden beneath her skirt. Note, all sex scenes in episode 1 will be focused on the pleasure of the women. Likewise, the female body should be seen as strong and in control in these scenes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I'm so close, Matt. I'm so close. He pulls back for a moment, moves the skirt up, moves the skirt from over his head to look up at her. Right? He goes.
This is so
with
bad.
that slant. Why'd you stop, Matt? He grins. I'm teasing you. It's called edging. Oh, sorry. Did you want me to keep going? You know, I can't hear much when And she pushes his face back under her skirt and between her legs.
This is a bad fan film.
Yeah, that's what I said.
This is a fan
I warned you, Mom. I really hope you stopped watching. Close up of her right hand clenched in his hair, pulling and pushing. We see again the beautiful woven gold bracelet around her wrist. Matt brings Danya closer and closer to what exactly? We see him take her hands in his, their fingers intertwined against the wall as she pushes against her. She rides him. She rides his face, moving rhythmically over and over. Yes, there, yes. As she comes, which is spelled wrong. He pushes her hands against the wall, sliding his fingers along hers, and her golden bracelet falls off. She breathes. It's so hard to read. She breathes out for a long moment, eyes closed.
I guess it's a good thing this wasn't.
Get to the point. Yeah, this is bad.
Okay. This is the best part, though. Okay, then slowly she slides down She breathes out, closes her eyes, heaving. Then slowly she slides down the wall, her body brushing along his lips the entire way. Her stomach, her breasts, then finally her lips. That doesn't make sense because she was wearing a skirt, and his head.
Okay.
Also, the floor is mud. Okay, because later, he distracts her and sees that the golden bracelet is in the mud, and he gets her to leave, and he picks it up. Right, but she slides down he's down and she's up. Right, she slides down into the mud apparently, and his lips follow her body, but his face gets caught on the skirt. Obviously, unless I'm assuming she's topless. Otherwise, I don't know. This just doesn't logistically make sense. Because his lips follow her body up to her lips. But which doesn't, that's like physically impossible.
Wow.
That couldn't work.
I don't even know what to say anymore. That's just bad. That's bad on every level.
Really glad that this wasn't in the original one. I mean, in the final one.
Right. So she's about to reciprocate, and he talks her out of it. He's like, oh, why don't you just owe me one? I don't want your knees to get muddy, so that she won't see that her bracelet's in the mud. Right? Mm-hmm. That makes me feel like a taker. You never. And then they kiss. And then it cuts to he looks down at the golden bracelet and picks it up and puts it in his pocket. But like she already slid down to she's already in the mud. Like it's just like
yeah, you're right.
The logistics of this sex scene don't make sense.
Well, that's not really in the book either. So
you don't say, Jerry. This literally feels like Spaceballs, Darth Helmet playing with his dolls.
Yes.
Oh, your helmet is so smooth, and
So
like this
big.
literally
Yeah.
feels like a child playing with dolls in their basement. Of like, this is my favorite character from Star Wars, and I'm gonna make them kiss. Like
You're right. You're right. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so that's the first sex scene.
There's more in the first episode.
You forgot about Rain and Egwene, baby.
Oh my god.
So
Oh my god!
First
you're
off,
right.
this is a nice note. When Moraine takes a bath with Lan, this is a nice little. She slips into the water. The camera tastefully missing her nudity. Like we're long gone from taste, buddy. Like, why bother at this point? Oh,
Yeah,
this is
why
real.
have that earlier scene and then tastefully?
This is a real script, guys. This was written by the showrunner of the show. This is who's in charge of the Wheel of Time. There's a lot. The dialogue's really bad. Okay, but Egwene. Okay, I missed you. And Egwene kisses Rand. She kisses him back, and they start making out more aggressively, hungry for each other's touch after a long time apart. Like they couldn't have. They weren't apart for that long. Like he lives on a farm, but he comes to town frequently. Rand lifts Egwene up, carrying her across the room, down to the sheepskin rug, and puts his body on top of hers. The fire is dwindling. He pulls back from their kiss, and as their faces are just inches apart, the fire skip. And then they start talking about his dad as they're doing this.
Oh, that's classic.
This made it in, like the berries, right? Except they weren't. They were sitting on a counter at the time. And she's like, "That sounds sweet to me. You know what else sounds sweet? Vagina."
Oh man!
I added that line. Okay.
Really?
But like the raspberry scene is sensual in this, right? Like the raspberry juices drip down her cheek as she eats it, and then leaves her lips linger on his fingers. Oh, because he feeds it to her, and she's like, "Oh." Yeah, that happens. Okay, so she sucks on his fingers when he feeds her a raspberry. Very sweet. And then he smiles, and he moves those fingers down her body, hikes up her dress, and slides his wet fingers inside of her, and she moans and arches her back. And the camera pans off as Egwene gets fingered by Rand. Because we needed that. So there's a lot more. You want to know?
Please, no.
The only character who doesn't get laid in this script? Perrin, because he's
Who has a
married.
wife?
which, yeah, the married character, Perrin, doesn't get laid, and I really liked in the books that they were very old fashioned. Like there's a scene where Rand does eventually get funky with a lady, and his first reaction is, "I'm sorry, I will marry you." And that is one of my favorite moments from the entire series, because it just shows how genuine Rand is. Like he's just like, I didn't mean to do this. Like it was kind of like neither of them meant for it to happen, but it happens, and he's like, I guess I have to marry you now. And it just shows. I really love that in Rand's character in the books, and in this, everyone's promiscuous, except for the one character who's actually married, who should be having sex, but he doesn't. He doesn't get any because his wife thinks he's in love with Egwene, which apparently he is.
Yeah.
There's also a bunch of swearing, lots of F words. What's the other? Oh, positive. We do get the scene that we eventually got at the end of the series with Rand taking his father back to town, and he says, "You're adopted."
Oh,
That's good. Yeah.
Oh, this was fun. This isn't sexual. I mean, it could be. This is with Perrin and Lila, his wife, when they're fighting the Trollocs together. She picks up the axe and gives it to him, and then she picks up a massive warhammer that was just resting next to the axe, and she uses a giant warhammer to fight off the Trollocs instead of, something that you would find in a blacksmith, like a blacksmith's hammer. I guess it's feasible that they could have made the warhammer in the blacksmith shop in the Two Rivers, where they haven't heard about war for like thousands of years. And
that's a good point.
And they only just now found out because people showed up that there's a war happening right next to them. But I mean, it's possible that someone came by out of their way to the Two Rivers to commission a massive warhammer.
Also,
You just forgot about it.
warhammers are not massive. That's a
They're
purely
not.
fantasy thing. Warhammers are like
They're like
sharp
lengthy.
picks.
They're long.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like picks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Danya dies. She gets killed by the Trollocs, and Mac
Oh,
walks
so
past her.
sad.
But he doesn't have time to be sad because he's looking for his siblings. So, but you know, she went out with a bang. This scene was also really dumb. During the Trolloc fight, Nynaeve, there's an old guy who gets wounded, and it's done. I thought it was done much better in the show, but she's trying to heal this guy, and she looks around. There's also some swearing, which that I really like. Modern swear words in fantasy, which isn't a problem in the books. They have their own swear words. It's great.
All right, I love that. See, that's why I was so excited when they're like, "Oh, blood and ashes." I was like, "Hey, they actually put it in there."
Yeah, I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, except that they also put in regular swears, right? So Nynaeve's trying to heal this guy, and there's Trollocs everywhere, and there's chaos. And then a Trolloc comes up to her, and instead of running, like she should leave the old man to die, and leave. They had to have a moment where she showed that she was brave, but instead it just makes her look stupid. You get a wide shot. She's okay. She's trying to keep the guy alive, putting pressure on the wound, right? And the Trolloc looks up at her, and she turns and cranes to look at it, and sneers. She smiles at the Trolloc with an FU expression on her face. And she stares up at the monsters that towers over her, and she just sits there because she's not scared because she's a powerful woman, and she's only saved because Moraine shoots it with a fireball.
Huh.
But that doesn't show her as brave. That shows her as incompetent and stupid. You're just going to let the Trolloc kill you?
Yeah.
Maybe a better moment. It's done better in the show when because she's cornered. She gets backed into an alleyway and she's confronted by the Trolloc, and she stands her ground and tries to fight it. And so good job, whoever fixed this.
Yeah, I agree. I like that a lot better. In the actual thing.
This was I'll skip over that. It's not super important. But also, you know how like there was no reason for them to go with Moraine, or it's worse than this. Like they ask her, why should we go with you? She doesn't respond to the question. She just says, because they'll kill. They're following you. It's like how do you know that? Oh, I can't say because the Dragon Reborn can be a woman. Like, why should we trust you? There's no time to trust me. Like, it's just stupid. There's less reason in this script for leaving. Yeah, I think the one good thing was the scene at the beginning until the end of the scene at the beginning that was stupid. But yeah,
that's pretty bad.
So yeah, I can see what you're saying with why it would be concerning with Rey.
It's very concerning. Remember how we talked about in the first 3 episodes how we're glad that the show wasn't trying to be Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
it was trying to be its own thing. Clearly, Rafe wanted the show to be Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And it's now I understand he's not like the head writer of the show, right? But he's the showrunner. So I'm glad that the writers caught a lot of this stuff. And it's actually shocking to me that a studio would intervene and say, hey, no, let's make our show less like Game of Thrones. So I don't know who was responsible for that, but I highly applaud that decision to cut out whatever the hell that was.
I agree.
Yeah.
But it's very concerning and just with just the attitude in general, and he's also made statements which I can't find the references right now, but I forgot to pull them up. He's also made statements like he wants to make the show like his Twitter bio says like I'm a feminist, which that's fine, but like he's said that he wants to work with in the show to illustrate like the powers of feminism, and that the books already had that. The books are great.
Huge part
the
of it.
Aes Sedai are great, and all the changes that he's made make them look worse, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to make the Amaryllis seat look stronger and even more powerful, and it turned her into the bad guy, right? The way she punishes
Right.
Loghain is vindictive instead of noble and smart, right? And then making Moraine swear on the oath rod to be like, that's literally what the bad guy does later on in the show, and you're just like,
and then the Aes
show
Sedai in the beginning.
the books were already feminist. They were great. They like it.
Yep.
These, Robert Jordan may not have been the best at writing female characters, but he tried his best, and these books really stood out to me for that reason, because there are so many cool female characters. You didn't need to make changes to show that you're a feminist, and just all of that evidence and the attitude towards it just shows he's more concerned about sending that message than he is about honoring the source material.
The other example that comes to mind is the prequel shot where the Aes Sedai refused to help the male Aes Sedai to go fight the dragon.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
That's right. I remember we talking about that. Yeah.
So, sorry to be a downer. I hope that they make changes. I don't know if the changes that I want to see in the show can happen with Rafe Judkins in charge.
Yeah, that's very concerning. I'm still, I don't know. I still hope they can turn around, but I'm doubtful that they're going to listen to fans for the second season.
With his tweet, like you can tell they're not. He's not.
Yeah,
He's double down. Make your turn your favorite characters gay. How would that also like? How does that make things better? Are just like gay characters? They're just inherently better than straight characters?
Oh, everyone knows that.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the point. It's not making it better. It's just
making it different.
Doing it for spite.
Yeah.
Doing it to prove a point. Doing it to, whatever. It's not. That's not the right reason to make any change to the source material.
Let's liven things up a little bit. We've got some Wheel of Time news to drop. Okay.
Ooh.
And we're gonna turn it into a game. Okay. Boom, boom,
Okay.
boom, 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 boom. Here. One of the directors of the show, right? A lot of episodes have different directors. Okay. This director directed 2 episodes in the Wheel of Time, 2 of the 7, and wow, he was nominated for the IFTA Awards, which I've never heard of. It's Irish Film and Television Academy. So Irish showbiz people. He is nominated for Best Director of a Drama Series. Here's the game. Which 2 episodes do you think he directed? Which ones, baby? Which ones deserve Best Director nominee?
Well, knowing the
This is my countdown timer dance. The do do do.
I think
I have
2
to
is
change it
probably
for
one of
legal
them.
reasons. Which ones?
I think 2. Episode 2.
Episode 2. Okay.
Yeah. And
He directed 2 episodes, not just 1. So what's the other one? Episode 2?
my guess is episode 4 or 5 that we get the backstory of Swan Song.
That's
It's either
episode
4 or 5.
6.
I don't remember.
That's 6.
Was it 6?
Yes, because that's when
No.
they. Yep. Yes.
There were only 8 episodes in the season, right?
Yes. Swan Sanche backstory happens in episode 6 because that's when you
Okay.
find out that they're lovers, and then that's when their relationship is compromised and they never see each other again. Then episode 7 is traveling through the ways, and episode 8 is the finale.
No. There was an episode going through the ways, and then there was a full episode in Tarvalin.
There was a full episode in the ways,
and
wasn't
then,
there?
Yeah.
Okay,
It
so
was
it's episode
episode
5.
5.
It's episode 5. You're right.
I need to pull it up on Wikipedia or something.
Yeah, you're right. It's episode 5.
That's my guess.
I'm gonna say 7. 2
Because
and
it
7.
was
2 and 7.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the reveal.
Wait. So I guess 2 and 7. Dave, what did you guess? You guess 5 and what?
let's see.
I'll tell you, my favorite episode was episode 4.
4 was really good, and
4
6
was
really good.
where
Or
Egwene
7 was really good.
Nynaeve did the healing, and they had that fake out where you're like, oh, they're gonna kill off main characters, but she healed them, and that was a really cool moment with Logain. I really liked episode 4.
That was a good one.
Okay,
I think episode
Siri-
4 and
Siri
the
and
second to
Donley,
last
maybe.
one were my guess. I don't know. I don't have a second guess.
Okay, here's the reveal.
I'll go with 2 and 5.
drum roll, please. Siri and O'Donnelly directed the last 2 episodes of The Wheel of Time, episode 7 and episode 8, otherwise known as the worst 2 episodes of The Wheel of Time.
No, the second to last one was good.
All right, 6 was worse than 7.
Yeah, I felt like 7 because 7's when we got backstory of Rand.
Yeah, 7 was
Right?
good. I liked 7.
Yes,
8 fell flat, but 7 was good.
I feel like 7 had its good things, but it also
7
had...
introduced the worst part of the whole series, which was the CW love triangle.
yeah. Oh,
but that's where you get. That's where you finally get the character motivations.
That's right.
The only reason episode 7 was good was because they finally gave you stuff they should have given you a long time ago.
Yep,
But
I agree.
if you look at the actual structure and everything else in the episode, it's not a good episode.
That's probably true.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
The only reason I enjoyed it when I first watched episode 7 was for the catharsis of finally you're telling people he's the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, nothing. I think. Oops. Okay. I don't like being negative on individuals, right? And probably the script had a lot of bad stuff to do, but especially the last episode. Some of the worst directing I've ever seen. And I get there's reshoots, but we're giving awards for.
Yeah.
It feels to me that it's such a specific category, like only Irish people, it's there weren't any other he's just there because he's Irish and he directed a drama.
It could be. It definitely could be.
Because those episodes were bad. Okay. The other news, this is fun. They cast Elias in season 2, which
Really? Finally, huh?
yeah. This guy. I don't care what his name is. I think it's okay.
Probably says in the caption below the picture.
Gary Beadle. Sure. And on seeing this news though, I realized, the reason they didn't have Elias in season 1 is because they needed the mystery of who the Dragon Reborn is. They couldn't introduce Perrin's wolf stuff because it would have pointed to him not being the Dragon Reborn, even though in the books they do it, and he still could be the Dragon Reborn because he's still getting visions and dreams from the guy saying, "Hey, the wolf powers. I've dealt with this before, and I still think you could be one of the dragon." But
yeah, well, that's the thing. Thinking about it now,
I like this
we
casting.
didn't get nearly enough visions. I wish we would have gotten more visions and dreams.
Yeah. It would have made the finale with Rand finally seeing him in person more intense. I think this casting's cool. You got to see him in character, right? With makeup and probably hair. Because this picture, he looks too nice. He's just very charming, and Elias is like an outcast. Everyone hates him, but he's a really cool character. But I'm glad that he's not going to be in the show. Great, Elias has been cast.
We definitely were worried about that because
we were super worried about it.
Well, and seriously, that's such a big part of Perrin's like his character as well. And so to not have that be part of, hey, like I have this connection with wolves, and for someone to say, hey, this is what's happening, so that makes me really happy. I hadn't seen that, so yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that got me excited and also depressed at the same time, but for different reasons. Yeah, you make him more gnarly though. He looks way too nice.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's a headshot though. You got to be smiling in your headshots. You're not going to be like
give him a scar across his face.
Yeah. Okay.
That
That's all the Wheel of Time news, and I think we've complained to death about Wheel of Time, but we all honestly like. I don't think it's beyond redemption. I want to see them improve in season 2. I'm excited for season 2. I'm just really worried that with Rafe in charge, it's not going to happen.
Have they started shooting on it?
Oh yeah, I think they're almost done.
Yeah. See that's why even if they decided to make changes,
because it's going to come out after the Lord of the Rings show, probably around November, December.
Yeah, see that's the issue.
Same time this year, but
I hope they listen to fan criticism and make changes. But since they started shooting, and pre-production, right after the first episode or first season launched, I don't think they're going to have enough time to adjust and make any changes. So
at least there weren't interruptions and reshoots this time.
That's true. But COVID can't be an excuse this time.
Looking back on it, like those aren't the problems that I had problems with.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I said, I'm hopeful.
I was very forgiving of that. Yeah, I realized you had to do a recast, and so it's not going to work as well. That's not the part I disliked about the show.
Yeah. Well, I'm skeptical that they're going to make the changes that they need to make.
Well, we will 100% be watching it, and we'll bring back an after show. Maybe November, maybe December, maybe they'll push it till January. But we know that it's after the Lord of the Rings show, which we'll definitely be watching. So we have one more activity, which I'm excited for. I've been wanting to do for a long time. I really wish Nathan was here.
Yeah, me too.
But we'll still have fun doing it. I don't think we can delay it any longer. Just a reminder that next week we will resume our regularly scheduled Best Generation show. Best Gen, we will be going over. We're starting a new show together. We're watching Raised by Wolves, which I'm excited for. And a lot of us will have seen The Batman. We'll talk about that too. I don't know if everyone's going to have the chance to see it, but let's end this off with, we got to change the spoiler ticker. Where is it? We're going to move it up to spoiler level high. Full series spoilers for all of the books and all potential seasons of the TV show, because we're going to play a game called Let's Do Better Than Showrunners, or let's plan out the whole series show. So I've gone over this. I did this myself, but I want to do it with you guys. Planning out which books, which arcs, and which finales should go in which season. It was originally speculated that the show would last 8 seasons. The producers of the show, the executive producers, went on an interview, though, and they did say, we're willing to go up to 10 or even 12 seasons. We just want to get the story told. So let's be, I think 12 would be way too easy. You wouldn't have to eliminate everything. But this game is very painful. Okay. Because you have to decide what to cut, right? And which you have to stick multiple books in the same season. And you're like, okay, we're going to have to lose this and lose that. It was really hard for me to do it when I thought there was only 8. So we're going to start off giving you 10 seasons, and we have to place the arcs. And I've got notes. I've got a summary of all the books if you don't remember. So it'll be fun. I'm going to move this down because I don't need to see that anymore. Oops.
You need to see the tier list.
Yes, I just minimized like everything though. Okay, so let's play this game.
So I think they're going to have a real issue when it comes to book 4 because book 4 is really dense and there's some character.
Sorry, I forgot. David hasn't read any of the books, so it's just you and me, Jared.
Did you just kick him?
I did. I just booted him from the stream. So.
Without a goodbye or anything.
The first things first, Jared, can you put these books in order?
Oh, I remember you tried to do this.
It's hard. It's hard.
Hard.
I could probably do it. I can do it from memory now.
So there's the Eye of the World is number 1.
Okay, chronological. Okay, we can leave New Spring where it is, right? That's the prequel, right?
Yeah,
technically, it was like the third to last book, but prequel. Okay.
Yeah. And then Eye of the World is 1.
Okay.
Then there's The Great Hunt, Dragon Reborn. Let's see. I believe Winter's Night or Winter's Heart is number 10.
Oh, okay.
I know it's
go in order, man.
I know. Well, that's about like when I think. Yeah, I got stuck on that one for a while. So I specifically remember Winter's Heart's numbers 10 because I got stuck on that one. Oh, you know what? Lord of Chaos and Path of Daggers, those are closer to the front, aren't they? Hold on, let's see. I'm pretty sure.
We'll start at the end then. Go to the end.
Well, I think Knife of Dreams is like 8 or 9. And then you have maybe I should try and do this backwards
because you know which ones are the last ones. You got the first one. You got the first 4 right.
Yeah.
We'll put the last ones in order. The middle is the hardest.
Yeah. Is Fires of Heaven? Is that the last one?
No. You look like an idiot.
I know I do. See, that's the thing. It's been so long.
I'll give you a hint. It's Memory of Light.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. Memory of Light.
I also made it harder. I chose the covers and I cut off Brandon Sanderson's name.
I see. Well, I can't really see those anyways.
If you look closely, though, you can tell that Robert Jordan's name appears a little bit higher on some of them.
I see.
And so you can tell that there is a...
So like Gathering Storm, that one's a little higher. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's one of the last 3, but is it
no, I think I do remember that one being definitely later. And then the Twilight, the Midnight one. No,
Towers of Midnight. Yeah,
Towers of Midnight.
Okay, so what's the order? Gathering Storm, Towers of Midnight, or Towers of Midnight, Gathering Storm? You idiot.
I think it's...
Don't help him in the chat either.
I'm not even looking at the chat. Sorry, guys. Let's see. I'm pretty sure that it's Gathering Storm and then Midnight.
You're right. It's Gathering Storm, Towers of Midnight, Memory of Light.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so how many I got left? I got
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 more.
1, 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Which one was the last one that Robert Jordan wrote before he died? That goes right before Gathering Storm. It's also one of the best ones.
Okay, hold on. So that's 13, 12.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's book 11. So, which one was that? That was... I want to say... Oh, no, wait. I think Twilight. Is that the one that's before?
No.
Or is that... Okay.
That's wrong.
Okay. Then I guess my second choice would probably be Shadow Rising. Is the
No.
one I'm looking at. Oh no, wait! Shadow Rising is earlier. Yeah,
Yes.
that one's way earlier. Okay.
Indeed, it is.
Yeah.
In fact, it is the next one.
Yeah. I was gonna say that actually makes sense to be right after Dragon Reborn. Let's see. Then we have. Yeah, this is fun for you, isn't it, Alex?
It is. Because it was really hard.
I don't even have that as like you and Nate have been talking about these books, and I'm like, man, I don't remember any of these details like you guys do. So
All right. Well, do you want to admit defeat?
no, not yet. Hold on.
Okay. I mean, I've already helped you pretty significantly, but
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say because I think some of the so Path of Daggers, I think it does come before Winter's Heart, where it is. In fact, I think that might be number 8. Is that 8? So not right before Winter's Heart.
I don't know the number, but Path of Daggers does come before Winter's Heart. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess.
And then we got, you know what? I think
Path of Daggers is number 8. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure that's 8. And then you have. Okay, so basically.
So 8.
Oh wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh,
This
I
is
see what
0, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I see what
4.
you did. Okay, so
you've got 0 through 4 right, and you've got 8 right.
And Winter's Heart.
It comes, it's directly after Path of Daggers. Yeah.
Okay, so is Crown of Swords? Oh wait, so are you saying Winter's Night then? Winter's Heart is the last one he did? Is that what you're trying to say?
Nope, it's not.
Okay, Crown of Swords.
Nope.
All right, I have no idea. I'm gonna admit defeat.
Knife of Dreams.
Knife of Dreams. Okay.
One of the best ones is right before he died. Then Gathering Storm, Towers of Midnight, Memory of Light.
Okay.
And I'll do the rest.
All right.
Before that is arguably the worst one, Crossroads of Twilight.
That one's number 10.
And then Winter's Heart, Path of Daggers.
Okay, so Winter's Heart is number 9. Yeah, okay.
Crown of Swords.
Yeah, that
Lord of Chaos
is 6.
That's the
okay. Okay, nice. Sorry, guys. You know, I wish I could say that I was great at that, but it has been a long time.
Good evening, Jacob. Thanks for joining us. The costume. Okay, sorry, I'm just getting to reading some of the comments. The costume sucked. From some of them weren't great. I did like Moraine's costumes from Tom's Gleeman Cloak. Yeah, I could understand disliking Tom's Gleeman Cloak. I kind of liked how it was more subtle and that you got the patches on the inside.
I agree.
But it also kind of makes less sense, being that because everyone would instantly supposed to recognize a Gleeman, and having them on the inside would be counterintuitive.
That's true.
I liked how it looked, but it is a pretty big departure from the book. I agree. The Amerlin shawl was terrible. It wasn't a shawl. It was like a padded shoulder. It was like a woman's suit, like a business suit, with padded shoulders. And the Aes Sedai only wear dresses, never pants. Just a couple points. I think there is a scene where Moraine wears pants. When she's pretending in book 1, especially when she's pretending to not be an Aes Sedai. I'm pretty sure there's a scene where Moraine wears pants. But yeah, I get that as Aes Sedai, they would be. I should probably show I've been responding to this comment for like 3 minutes. I'm just talking to some nebulous person.
Yeah, that's supposedly what they said in the comment, right? No.
Yeah.
It's good that you can.
I agree with I agree with a lot of those points. Okay, so
Yeah, that definitely
now,
looks right. Looking at it now.
okay, so I have like the finales and key moments from each of these books mapped out. If you need a refresher,
Okay.
but I mean, obviously, as David Bentley says, who is just my brother, in the comments. Yeah, book 1 for season 1. What do you think? Yeah, that's a freebie.
Yeah. Well, I was definitely thinking
Because it already happened.
that we might have book 1 and 2, which I think is interesting.
Okay.
But yeah. So anyway, so we're definitely with season 2. We're gonna have the Great Hunt. I think there's a lot of content in the Great Hunt. That's not when
it's huge.
Seanchan are actually introduced, though. Is it? Is that when they
the Seanchan are introduced at the end of the Great Hunt, and there's the huge fight, and the White Cloaks. Well, the section of White Cloaks that are led by Bornhalt fight alongside Rand, and it's a great moment.
Yeah,
and that's when he dies. Bornhalt dies. Joffrey and his son Graham.
Did we talk about
his son Bornhalt wasn't there, and so for the rest of the series, he assumes that Rand killed his daddy, and it's a great.
Oh yeah, and then
I love the Bornhalts in the books. But yeah. So the Great Hunt ends with Falma, Seanchan attacking, and the White Cloaks help fight him off because the White Cloaks were there to I think they were chasing after Perrin.
Yeah.
I can't remember specifically, but they end up joining sides and fighting alongside him. Bornhalt dies, and then Matt blows the freaking Horn of Valir. And that's just the coolest moment ever. Yeah. And then Rand is busy fighting Ishamael / Balsamon in the sky. And you also get Lanfear pretending to be a little girl. That's not as important.
Yeah, well, see, I feel like that would be a good place to stop it, though, right? Like,
it would be an amazing finale. Yeah.
Yes.
I personally would love for season 2 to just be book 2.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what they're going to do.
Well, and here's the thing too. I feel like with a lot of the later books, you get a lot more of like politics from the Aes Sedai, and so you can skip some of that.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I kind of feel like
they wanted to introduce that season 1.
Yeah, right. They've already started that, so I don't know. Maybe this is I mean, and like with Rafe trying to do more like a feminist focus, maybe that's what they do more about. But yeah, so I would kind of like them just to keep the Great Hunt because I remember reading that book and having it end on that, and I was like, yes, that was so freaking dope.
Yeah, it's not the Great Hunt isn't one of my favorite books. It's not one of my favorite Wheel of Time books. It is top 3 endings.
Yeah, it's really
it's
good.
One of my favorite endings, and just with the introduction of the Seanchan when they take the girls captive is so dark.
Yeah,
I'm not expecting it all. Like the Eye of the World was kind of this clean, like like I thought just a very. It didn't blow me away the first time I read it, and then the Great Hunt, I was like, hey, this is more of the same. And then Seanchan, I was like, huh?
Yeah,
it was great. I loved it.
I agree. And to be honest, that's probably why I'm going to say that the next season would need to be Dragon Reborn and Shadow Rising, because if I remember correctly, Dragon Reborn has a lot of that Seanchan stuff that I hated, and I wanted to
there's no Seanchan in.
Oh no, wait. Or is that the Shadow Rising? Then is that when?
Nope. They kind of disappear for a while. So Dragon Reborn, I'll tell you. Dragon Reborn. Starts off with everyone together in Falma, and Rand disappears. And Rand is not in the book until the very end.
Yep.
And everyone's trying to figure out where Rand is. And the reason he leaves is because Moraine has been telling him, hey, you're the Dragon Reborn. You're the Dragon Reborn. You need to act like it. You need to lead these people. You need to learn how to do this. You need to dress in fancy suits. She burns all of his clothes and only buys him nice suits. And she's very manipulative. And he's like, screw that. He goes through the book of prophecies of the dragon, picks out the hardest one, and says, Kalendor, that's in Tyr. That's a big sword where if you touch it, you die.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
I'm going to go there because the prophecy says that the dragon will wield Kalendor and pull the sword from the stone, which is it's supposed to be like a mirror of the Arthurian legend.
Yeah,
Arthur, because the entire show, the entire series is kind of supposed to be like our world is part of the turning, right? Because time is secular, and like the things that happen in the real world, by the time our age comes around, they become legend. So like it's the tale has been twisted from Kalendor to Arthur and the sword. He says, okay, I'm going to pull the sword from the stone. He pieces out. And he's like, look, if I'm not the Dragon Reborn, this will probably kill me. And that will be like a mercy because I can channel. And that the alternative is bad.
Yeah.
If I am the Dragon Reborn, I'll know. Which is great. I love the premise of book 3.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, but
I guess I'll know for sure now if I'm the dragon, and I can stop.
And I think honestly, because of that, that's going to be season 2 actually, because they've already hinted that he's going on his own, right?
Oh, you want to move it down?
Yeah, let's move that one down.
I think this is what they're going to do as well.
Yeah,
I would prefer if it was just book 2, but I think they're going to merge these two things.
Yeah,
and make 2 cities into one. I think Falma and Tyr are going to be the same place, and Kalendor is going to be there, and they're going to introduce Shan-Chan and Kalendor at the same time and just pretend it's the same city.
Well, yeah, because they've already introduced the Shan-Chan. So
they've already introduced the Shan-Chan. Exactly. Well, that would have been book 2 anyway, so that's not a problem for book 3.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of elements that you could technically cut from book 3, and you could mash it together with book 2. I would prefer book 2 by itself, but I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
In book 3, you also get Balefire.
Dude, I freaking love Balefire.
And he kills Ishamael. So and it is kind of silly to have him fight Ishamael in book 2 and then again in book 3. They're going to merge that. So he kills Ishamael, thinking it's Balsamon, but they're like, oh, but he left a body behind, and so it's probably Ishamael.
Yeah. I think that's definitely kind of the route that they're going to take, to be honest, just because. But I hope that if they do that, they give us more episodes, right? Like give us a couple more episodes, because cramming all that into 8 episodes is going to be ridiculous.
And Perrin also goes into the dream world and rescues Fael, and everyone says it was really risky because he goes there like in person.
And then
that's never been done before. That's really dangerous.
But
that's when he realizes that he's in love with her, and
exactly.
He's like, "Well, I don't care if I die. I'm going to go save her." And then Matt kind of meets some of the.
Is that where he died? When does Matt die? Which book is that in?
When does Matt die?
Yeah. The first time.
Well, he doesn't. With the dogs.
Well, like they go. He goes to a cursed place or something.
It's not this book. It's not this book.
Well, yeah, I didn't think it was this book, but when is that?
Let me finish. Matt kind of runs into some Aiel who are sneaking into Tyr, and you got the thief catcher as well, who's working with the girls. And one of them, they betray them to the Dark Friends, but then he redeems himself. Okay, so that's book 3. Matt dies in Fires of Heaven. he's killed by Raven. But then Rand balefires Raven and brings Matt back to life.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
You're talking about when he gets hung?
Yeah, when he gets hung. Yeah.
That is in the book right before that, Shadow Rising. He doesn't die.
Yeah, I was gonna say he doesn't actually die.
He gets hung, and then Rand saves him.
Yeah,
I believe that's in Shadow Rising.
Yeah.
So yeah, they could easily smash these two books together. As much as I would dislike it, it makes sense for the direction they've already gone. I would definitely agree. Shadow Rising, book 4, is the deposition of Swan Sanjay. That's the finale. She gets deposed and stilled, which is freaking awesome. That comes out of nowhere, man. I love it. And then you get the girls go off to Tanchico and fight Moghedien or Moghedien. It's pronounced both ways in the audiobooks.
I know. I was like, yeah, I definitely heard both of them.
Perrin goes to the Two Rivers, fights there, and gets married.
Yeah. Right?
And Rand makes his way to Ruidion with the Aiel, because at the end of Dragon Reborn he realizes, okay, I guess I am the dragon, and so I need to start fulfilling other prophecies. And in the beginning of the Shadow Rising, everyone's trying. You get that Baerlon, that sexy lady who's always trying to seduce him. I think Baerlon, yeah. So she's trying to seduce him, and there's a bunch of people trying to do politics with him, and he's like, I need to do something that no one would expect. Let's travel. Let's take this gateway, and let's get me an army so that people respect me. And so he goes and travels to Ruidion so that he can fulfill and get the Aiel as his army. And it ends with him fighting Osmodian in Ruidion. And Lanfear turns out to be like one of the people who was in the merchant traveling people. And and Matt gets hung.
See,
no, that's in Fires of Heaven. Is it?
I don't remember. Let me see. I have some stuff pulled up here too.
It's in one of those two.
Fires of Heaven. Here we go.
No, it's in Shadow Rising. It's in Shadow Rising. They go to Ruidion in Shadow Rising, and then they go back and fight Asmodean there.
Yeah, right, because Rand and Matt go together, right? And then Matt takes off by himself.
They go together, and Avienda follows them.
Yeah.
She's behind, and she's like, I'm going to catch up with these wetlanders because they can't run. White men can't jump. Except that it's funny. In my head, I know the books always called them, like the Aiel are redheads, right? Yeah. Which it doesn't make a lot of sense that the Aiel, like redheads are notoriously like they have no melanin in their skin and they sunburn very easily, right? They're like the whitest of white people, and yet the Aiel are the people who live in the desert, where you would expect some people of darker skin to be.
But they're always veiled, so that makes sense.
But they're gonna sunburn so bad.
True. That is funny. I had never thought about that, but that is really funny.
In my head, I always pictured them as darker skin. And,
right.
And then I would read the description. Oh, they have red hair. Like, wait, they don't have dark skin. But it kept creeping back in. So like, it doesn't make sense. They have to be dark skinned.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Okay, well, I think Shadow Rising then is probably going to be by itself. I think there's a lot of interesting content in there.
Okay, and the Couladin is the leader of the Shido, and he's trying to oppose them. And he's trying to pretend that he's the Dragon Reborn.
Oh yeah,
and at the end, he pretends to go to Ruidion, and he has someone paint a dragon tattoo on his arm.
Yeah, right? I remember that.
Rand gets two of them, one on each arm, and then they have that big meeting with the rest of the Aiel, and they're like, well, you're both claiming that you went through Ruidion and that you are the. They have a name for him. He's not the Dragon Reborn. He's the Son of the Morning or something like something like that. I can't remember what it is. But they both so they say, well, yeah,
Karakan.
Yeah. And they say, well, what did you see there? And Rand tells the truth, which is that they used to be the Tinkers, and Couladin says, no, that can't be true. And then all the women who've gone through Meridian are like, yeah, Couladin's lying. So all of the Shido clan break off. And that's what starts the conflict of the next book, Fires of Heaven, where the Shido are rebelling and they run off and try and attack Kyrian. And Fires of Heaven has the second best finale of any of the books because it lasts the second half of the book. Because you get the Battle of Kyrian and you finally get the girls like doing like battle magic, right? And it introduced that really cool concept of, well, yeah, technically Aes Sedai can use the magic against people if their lives are in danger. And so you had the Aes Sedai putting themselves in a position where they'd get killed so that they could use magic in defense. And it's freaking awesome. And then you have them standing on top of a tower just shooting lightning bolts until they're exhausted. They're like propped up with sticks. I love that scene. And then you get Matt friggin' using his luck powers to just kill Couladin. And it's awesome. And you're like, there's still a quarter of the book left. And then Lanfear shows up and Moraine dies.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're like, okay, that's a good place to end the book. And then Rand is like, nope, it's still not the end of the book because we have to trick the Forsaken. This is serious. The last half of this book is the finale. And then and he says, no, we have to trick the Forsaken and we're going to take everyone over to Camelin and attack Ravin. And so they teleport over while they're distracted, thinking they'd be in Kyrian because they win the Battle of Kyrian. And you get a second finale where they teleport there and it sets off all those alarms and Ravin has a bunch of traps and he freaking kills Matt and a bunch of other people. He kills Avienda as well. And then Mogadine's there and she's fighting Elaine and someone else is involved in that fight. That's when Elaine bonds with Birgitta because Birgitta gets injured and Elaine bonds her. And then she collars Mogideon in the dream world. She puts the Sanchan necklace on her, and then until out on Riyadh, Nynaeve uses friggin' Balefire, and I think Rand uses it too to kill Osmodian. And then the book ends. It's literally like it's so good.
Yeah, there's a lot. I remember that one being pretty action-packed. So the question is that too much action to cram into one season?
Huh?
I mean, I don't know.
Fires of Heaven has to be its own season.
Well, I think so too because there's also going to be some romance in there, right? So there's going to be some romance and some backstabbing and yeah, that one's got to be by itself.
It's so good. It's one of the best books.
Okay, and then Lord of Chaos. That's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Lord of Chaos is Demise Wells.
Okay, what happened to Demise Wells again?
Ashaman. Rand gets captured by the Red Aja.
Okay, yeah.
Who snuck in extra sisters in their boxes of gold.
Yeah.
Chest, and he's like, I can only speak to you if you have less than 13 sisters, right? So he's like, bring in 8, and so they bring in tribute. It's supposed to be gold, and there's like extra people inside.
It's freaking ridiculous.
It's amazing. So they capture him and they put him in a box, shielded.
Yep, I remember that. Yep, they shield him.
And then the Ashaman show up at Demise Wells and kill freaking everyone. And Rand snaps, breaks through the shield, and gentles like all of the Aes Sedai, and it's brutal as heck. Like, this is the Red Wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
the
definitely
problem. Here's the problem, though. You've gone 3 seasons and 3 books.
I know.
There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wait, so are we counting the prequel then?
The prequel is just sprinkled throughout. It's not going to get its own season. If at all. Right? Yeah.
So I've got 5 left and 8. Yeah, this is hard. Shoot, man.
But because you've here's
okay. So this is what I'm thinking. Well, because the problem is this is where it like starts to break up, right? So this is where you start to get all these individual stories that start to happen. Because you've got Perrin's back, and he basically like stays in the 2 rivers pretty much for like the rest of the thing, right? Like,
the rest of the story until the Gathering Storm. No, he's still there in the Gathering Storm. He doesn't.
Yeah, so he just stays there. Everything just kind of happens to come to him, like so, like. So he stays there, and then Matt and he's freaking leading his army, and he's got his memories of that, like, right, like because of the whole being hung upside down on the tree thing, he like inherits all these memories from this.
It's not because he was hung on the tree; it's because he made a deal with the. I can't remember if it's the snakes or the foxes, the Aelfin or the Eelfin. Yeah, they're all the same. The first time he goes through the pillar, he gets the people who tell him stuff, and they tell him he's going to marry the daughter of the 9 Moons. And the second time he goes through in Ruidion, instead of going through the pillars, instead of going to Ruidion where Rand goes, he finds another archway, and he goes through those, and he meets the other group, whichever one that they were, and those are the people that grant you boons instead of information. And so he asks for a way to be free of the Aes Sedai, and he asks for a weapon to be able to save his friends or something like that. I have to look it up. And then he's smart, and his third wish or boon is to be able to leave this place because he knows the tricksters. And so and then they're like, "Oh, you said you'd leave, but you didn't say how," and so they hang him. It's like out of spite. So they hang him from a tree, and then Rand saves him. So he gets his spear, and he gets the medallion. And
it's the medallion that gave him the
no
memory generals or something. I mean, the generals from the memory, or
maybe he got the spear somewhere else. I'm pretty sure he got the spear through there. But it's because it was one of the things that he asked gives him memories of past lives, past incarnations. And so he becomes the best general ever.
Yeah, I freaking love that.
Matt is the best character, hands down.
Right? I totally
if you disagree in the comments, I don't give a crap. Matt's the best.
Okay, this is what I'm thinking. Okay, so Fires of Heaven. So I'm thinking.
Okay, here's the thing. Fires of Heaven, there is no way that you could stuff in other books. Fires of Heaven has to be its own season. There's too much. Half of the book is the finale, right? There's no way you could fit in more. It's possible you could fit in more in Shadow Rising, and I'll help you out because this is what I did.
Well, so I would
the ending of Lord of Chaos is incredible.
Yeah.
The rest of the book is actually kind of slow. So you could put Demise Wells as the mid-season finale and start the next book in season 5 as well.
Well, and that's what I was going to suggest, is that we would then take, if Fires of Heaven does, I mean, because you were explaining there is a lot of stuff that goes in Fires of Heaven. So Lord of Chaos would have to just be, because I'm thinking Lord of Chaos would have to be combined with another one somehow, right? And so if it's not with Fires of Heaven, it would have to be with the following one.
The next one, Crown of Swords.
Yeah. Crown of Swords.
Crown of Swords, yeah. Crown of Swords gets a little grueling because that's when. Oh no! Sorry, I'm thinking of the next book. Crown of Swords introduces Cadsuane, and Podon Fane tries to stab Rand in that meeting in the tents, with like the Borderlands people who've like stopped doing the Borderlands, and then the Ashaman assault Ilion. Rand fights Samael, not Ishamael, in Shadowlogoth. There's the Shadowlogoth fight, and it ends kind of anticlimactically with Shamael getting eaten by Mashadar. No, not Mashadar. The other one.
Ashaman?
Huh?
Ashaman?
Ashaman are the male Aes Sedai.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff that's in Shadowlogoth.
Oh, yeah, the shadow thing, the
frick. Mashadar is the wind in the ways.
So it's,
and I always thought they were the same thing until I reread.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called.
No, Mashadar is the Shadowlogoth. Machin Shin is the wind.
Machi Chin, yeah, which is in the way.
And they both start with M's. Why, Robert Jordan? They sound the same, and they act very similarly. Okay, it's Mashadar. Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about Crown of Swords. Rand fights Samael in Shadowlogoth, and Samael like accidentally steps in Mashadar and dies. And a mysterious stranger shows up to help Rand, which eventually is kind of never actually explicitly revealed to be Mordith. Not Mordith. Moradin, which is the reincarnation of a Shamael. Gosh, these books get convoluted. Moradin. And Moradin shows up to help him because Samael is trying to kill Rand. And Moradin says, no, you can't kill him because the entire purpose of all of this is to break him. And that won't work if you kill him. So Shamael kind of betrays his other guy, the other Forsaken, because the Forsaken had stepped out of line and was trying to kill Rand. You find that out like retroactively that's why the stranger showed up. And the Nynaeve gets through her channeling blockage, and they find the Bull of the Winds, and Matt fights a freaking golem. That's Crown of Swords.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think doubling those ones up is probably good. Then we got 6, 7, 8. 9.
I think you could actually start Crown of Swords, some of the stuff before Lord of Chaos too, like while it's happening, and just have Perrin and Rand involved in Demise Wells and have the other characters not even there off on their quests in Crown of Swords. You could kind of start their stuff early and just not have them be there for Demise Wells.
Okay. Well, and this plot summary too, and here is talking about how Egwene and Swan Sanche attempt to manipulate the Aes Sedai rebels. So she let's see, is Egwene, she's not the Emerald seat yet, or is she at this point? Is that in the path?
Or which Amberlin seat?
True.
Which time?
It would be because she's first of the rebels, and then after they unite, then she's the Amerlin of the other one, right?
Yeah.
So
I want to quickly address. So in the chat, we've got two people who say The Shadow Rising is one of their favorite books. I absolutely love The Shadow Rising, but The Fires of Heaven is better. it's just like it's so much more. I love Shadow Rising has Emond's Field battle, but Fires of Heaven is better.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how that works.
Okay, so you were talking about.
Okay, so then I think, I don't think you can jam any more into that one. In fact, I don't think. Yeah,
You don't. I think they could finish both of those in one season.
well, that's what I mean.
You have to start Crown of Swords early, rearrange some of the things, and have characters be where they're not supposed to be, and just have Rand be involved, which might as well while people are doing other things. I think.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Is that
you could have it simultaneously
to that?
Yeah.
So just those two, and then I would probably go with, let's see, Path of Daggers.
So Path of Daggers is Elaine in Andor trying to become queen, and she gets buddy with Avienda there. Masima, the prophet, and Perrin, and that's when Fael gets kidnapped. And that's when it starts that grueling, awful Perrin arc that takes way too long. It's a good arc. It takes way too long.
Yeah.
Fael gets kidnapped by the Shido, and he's chasing her for 6 books.
I do remember that.
And then the Aes Sedai go to attack the Ashaman, and they get captured, and the Ashaman bond them. And it's freaking great. And then it's awesome, but then they get scolded. They're like, you weren't supposed to do that without permission. That's like rape. But they're like, we didn't actually know what we were doing. We were just trying to stop them, and we accidentally bonded with them. And then the ending of Path of Daggers is kind of grueling. I liked the idea. It just wasn't fun to read because it starts Rand fighting against the Shan-Chan. And it's just a really, really long, prolonged campaign. And it ends with him using Kalendor. And because he's trying to use it by himself, not with women involved, it backfires and kills like half of his army as well.
Oh,
and it's a great idea because it just shows like the brutality of war and like gives consequences and stuff. It's kind of slow though. And then Rand gets betrayed by a couple of Ashaman, Dashiva. Some of them turn out to be dark friends and try to assassinate him.
Yeah. I just love how with these books, like he's always trying to get assassinated. I mean, they're always trying to assassinate
all the time. Rand's psyche is just like
right, but
which is the point. That's what they wanted. They were trying to break him.
Yeah, I agree. Which is funny because it totally backfires. But
it almost works. It's really close.
Yeah,
let's succeed.
Let's put Path of Daggers and Winter's Heart together. I feel like, I mean, because just reading the synopsis here online.
Here's the thing. Here's the other thing, though.
Huge stuff.
Path of Daggers and the next one, Crossroads of Twilight, happen at the same time.
You mean Winter's Heart and
Crossroads of Twilight happen simultaneously. Because there are too many characters doing too many things, a lot of their plot lines are left out. So Winter's Heart, you get half the cast. Crossroads of Twilight, you get the other half. There are some events that happen in different times, but so those would work really well smushed together.
Well, but it might also that would also work pretty well as like a one season and then another, because then you could say, oh, while this was going on.
But then you also get a season where there are characters just not there for the whole season.
Well, which is fine though. You can pull that off.
The finale of Winter's Heart.
But yeah, so if you put all three of those, then I think that could be
too much.
Too much, yeah. Because I mean, that's a lot.
Okay, because we talked about Path of Daggers. Winter's Heart, the finale is the cleansing of Sidene.
I love that
with Rand and Nynaeve. It's great.
I freaking love that. Oh yeah.
And
then
you also get the scene where Rand gets bonded by Elaine, Avienda, and Min, and then bangs Avienda.
Yeah. No. See, I think that's actually
And
a
it's
great way to
funny.
end it,
That
though.
scene's so hilarious though. Like they should have banged before they got bonded, because like Avienda and Min can feel the whole
You
thing.
feel
Like,
it, yeah.
ah!
Yeah, it is pretty funny.
Um,
But yeah, so I actually think that's a
and
great
Winter's
transition.
Heart also has some cool stuff with Matt in Abu Dar when he kidnaps Tuon and accidentally proposes to her by saying, she's my wife. She's my
Oh
wife.
yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Wait, but that doesn't pay off for like another 3 books. So 2 books.
Yeah. And then they fall in love and they get married or whatever. But I think that's a great transition though.
Yeah, there's also a fight with Rand against the bad Ashiman in the far matting where they can't channel, and Golem shows up there too.
Darn golems, they show up everywhere.
But then to get ahead in Crossroads of Twilight, nothing happens.
Yeah, but it's every other.
Literally nothing happens. It's the worst book. I still like it, though. Nothing happens except Egwene makes Quaindiar and then gets captured by the tower. So she's already the Amberlin seat of the rebels, and she gets captured because she's by the river, and she discovers the weave that makes Quaindiar, and she's about to tell them, and then she gets kidnapped. She gets kidnapped by what's the red Aja? Who becomes Armelin after she deposes Swamp Sentry?
Oh, I don't remember.
I'll remember it as we talk. But yeah, you could easily squish that together with the next book, which is Knife of Dreams, which is which is when Matt gets married, and Perrin finally rescues Fael, and he's with Tam, and
I remember that.
Elaine wins her fight for Caemlyn and removes all of the Black Aja from Caemlyn. She gets captured briefly. Lan leaves Nynaeve to head for the Borderlands, and she tricks him into walking the whole way. She travels him like far away and leaves him there, which is great. Matt gets his army back and uses them to fight against the Shan Chan, who are trying to kill Tuon, and then he gets married, and it ends with, and I love the Knife of Dreams. Knife of Dreams is one of my favorite books. It ends with him finding out from Tom Maryland that Moraine is still alive, baby.
That's right.
See, and she's captured by either the snakes or the foxes. I can't remember which one. The Eelfin or the Eelfin.
Wait, this is sounding really familiar, Alan. I think we just did this earlier.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good way to end it a season too, right? And be like, oh shoot, Moraine is actually alive, and then go into the next
that's a great cliffhanger. Also, Rand loses his hand. He gets a missive to go meet with who he thinks is Tuon. It ends up being Semirhage in disguise, and they fight, and he gets his hand blown off.
That's right. Wasn't it with Balefire or something like that? Or no.
That would have killed.
No,
I think it's chopped. I can't remember how it loses it, but in a fight with Semirhage. But that would be a great cliffhanger. Yeah. So then you've got 3 seasons left and three books. You want us to do that?
Wait, there are 3 left.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Then I think
this is easy mode right now though, because 10 seasons is too easy.
I know. I think having it fit these into 8 like that would have been very difficult.
Well, that's what we're gonna do now. Now we're gonna condense it.
No, dude, I can't. I'm gonna have to call it tonight.
See, this is way too easy. Because look,
okay.
If you have, oops, I can't put it back. I'm just gonna put them all down there.
Okay, that's fine.
Because imagine, see that's doable, right? That makes sense.
Yeah,
The last
that's
3
doable.
books, a ton of stuff happens. Those could be 3
Yeah.
seasons of television. But
Yeah.
imagine,
Okay, all right.
imagine now what do you get rid of, right? Do you do 3 books in season?
No, I think in that case, then you would have to bring.
This is the worst. I hate
Shoot.
this.
You know what? You may have to do. You may have to take Path of Daggers and bring it down to season 5, and then you'll have Winter's Night, Crossroads of Twilight, and Knife of Dreams all in one season 2.
Winter's Heart.
Yeah, sorry, Winter's Heart. Yeah, not Winter's Night.
And then have 2 seasons for the.
Yeah, and then maybe just split those 3 up. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like split those between the 2 seasons there.
So you've got Lord of Chaos. You've got Demise Wells. You've got fighting Shamael and Shadow Logoth. And you've got the entire campaign from Path of Daggers all in one season. This sucks, right? Is it hurting you yet?
Yeah, it's hurting. It's definitely hurting. I wonder if Rafe is just like, you know what? Let's just get rid of 1 book, or let's just get rid of 2 books. It's like,
yeah.
I sure hope not. I will say, if it ever comes to that point, he better just do more seasons, because to have to take out books.
10 seasons would work really, really well.
Yeah.
8 seasons, you have to take out a bunch, and you have to smush a bunch, and you cannot smush Fires of Heaven, and it would be really hard to smush Shadow Rising. You could do it, but you've already got these smushed together, and you can't do that.
No,
that's insane, right? And you can't smush these together. I guess you could.
Yeah.
As much as it would suck, you could make this one shorter and just have the trek to Ruidion be a lot shorter than it is.
Yeah, that's true.
And have this happen, like the finale of this happen mid-season, but maybe save Perrin's arc for the end. So that's happening simultaneously with all the crazy battles.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't, because the problem with that is that literally then you're like, I mean, because I feel like the meat of this story really is in those middle books.
It's in these 3 especially.
Yeah, it's
like Winter's Heart, you could not Winter's Heart. Crossroads of Twilight, you could literally get rid of. There's a lot of stuff that happens, but it's literally just pieces moving, and there's not even a finale. The finale is
the finale of
Egwene gets captured. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I had to do it, that's how I would try to do it, because I feel like
push these together.
No.
This could work. You could do these simultaneously and then get Knife of Dream. This does not work. That's too much.
I know.
So the only other solution would be,
well, what if you put Path of Daggers in?
Not all of. So you could do some of this and half.
Oh,
of
yeah. And then maybe bring
and then mid-season finale. The end of this book is mid-season finale, but then the finale isn't as cool as the mid-season finale, because Lord of Chaos is no. Demise Wells. That could work. That could actually work.
Yeah. Okay.
If you cut this book in half, put half of it here, half of it there, and you get this crazy ending, and then on top of it, you could even cut out. You could even just keep the finale of Lord of Chaos, right? And so this is just going crazy, and then you're like, oh, it's over, and then Demise Wells just happens.
Yeah.
I think that could actually work pretty well.
Yeah,
I don't even remember what I ended up with, but it wasn't this.
Well, for not having read it for so long, I'm like, we'll see how this turns out. But I think honestly, season 3, 4, and 5, that's gonna be where a lot of the meat happens. So it's gonna be hard to determine how that all comes together.
What? Shadow Rising. What season of Game of Thrones was the Red Wedding? Was that season 4 or season 3?
I have no idea.
It's very comparable, like Demise Wells, to like that, like holy crap moment. Like things just shifted.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
And people are dying now. Like,
yeah. I have heard that's definitely where it changed. Yeah, I think that that is tricky for sure, and I hope that I don't know, because they took a lot. Well, I don't know. They followed the Eye of the World pretty. I mean, okay, they didn't follow it pretty closely, but they included a lot of the Eye of the World story in the first season.
It happened.
And that to be actually was a bit shocking, because I thought they were going to do like Eye
more
of
of
the World
season 2
and Great Hunt.
Yeah,
sort of in season 1. So I don't know what to think of it, and I really hope they get more seasons. But at the same time, too, I'm like, are they going to be able to justify more seasons if they keep going?
If they don't fix the problems, they don't deserve more seasons. They're already guaranteed 3.
Yeah.
So we'll see. This has been a fun game where I make Jared feel terrible about having to cut content from the Wheel of Time. I really wanted to do this with Nathan. Maybe I can. I think what we'll have to do is find it, because his schedule is kind of crazy. Yeah. I think we'll have to find a time and just not do it live. Just record it, just us, and then I can post it as a video.
Yeah, probably not a bad idea. Yeah.
He just needs to return my texts. Sometimes he ghosts me. But this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us. We've had a lot of people giving chats, and I love doing this show. I miss talking about the Wheel of Time.
I do too.
But yeah, this has been a blast. Next week we're back to Best Gen, talking about Raised by Wolves and the Batman. So, do you have anything else, Jared? I think that's a good place to end.
Yeah, thanks for the torturing. That was definitely hard.
Yeah. Let's hope they listen to the criticism. And because I don't think it's beyond redemption. There've been things that I hated, but they could all be fixed. If they don't, I think it comes season 2. If it's more of making me mad, I'm gonna be like, I'm 100% against the show, and I will be one of the, like we said at the beginning, I feel like it's either hot or cold, right? You either love the show or you hate it, and I'm still in the middle ground. I still think it has potential, but man, they need to make changes quick, or I'm joining the White Cloaks. I'm joining the White Cloaks Reddit and only posting bad things. So
shoot. Yeah, I hope that doesn't come to that, because I think that, honestly, I don't want this to turn out like a Boba Fett, where we just don't have anything good to talk about, because
there was one good scene in the whole show.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. It's been a blast. We'll see you next week, or I have videos coming out during the rest of the week that won't be about Wheel of Time. But my wife has finished reading The Shadow Rising, and we're going to talk about it. She's currently reading Fires of Heaven. So thanks for tuning in. This has been an after show, and we'll see you around. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Oh, I can't. Push the button. There we go.